Chapter 25-20, A group of monsters. The moment Shifeng gave the command, the Hell Legion began to move into formation. Once everyone was ready, they boldly marched toward the nearby forest. Illusory Words and her teammates, who had just emerged from the space-time gate, were stunned at the sight. "What do you think is going through Black Flame's mind?" Vice Guild leader, a Tier 3 male assassin from Crimson Emperor, asked when he saw that the Hell Legion had no intention of hiding their movements. The Burning Forest is a main area for demon players, and he decided to go straight through it, rather than around. At this rate, it won't be long before demon players discover his team, and without an invitation from Demon City, every demon player they come across will attack. The Burning Forest served as a natural barrier around Demon City. Not only were all of the forest's monsters above level 100, but almost every level 100+ demon player in Lava Valley grinded in the Burning Forest. Demon players had incredible innate perception. They often noticed normal players long before normal players noticed them. In addition, demon players could earn demon reputation to increase their demon rank by slaying non-demon players of equal or higher levels. This was why demon players were so eager to target non-demon players. Moreover, non-demon players were invaders when in demon territories, and demon players would gain far greater rewards for killing them. Even the Ten Saints Empire's various superpowers didn't dare set foot in the Lava Valley's Burning Forest without a proper invitation. Demon players would avoid conflict with guests of Demon City. Attacking one of the city's guests was akin to declaring war against the city's various powers. Doing that would be disastrous for any demon player developing in Demon City. Of course, Shifeng and his team hadn't received an invitation, and by marching into the forest, they were offering themselves up on a silver platter. It'd be a miracle if they even left the Burning Forest alive, not to mention reach Demon City. In general, over 100,000 players operated in level 100 maps, and the Burning Forest was the only level 100 map near Demon City. Far more players would be grinding in the area than in other level 100 maps. I don't know what he's thinking, but I know that the players with him are extraordinarily strong. They may have hidden their statistics and auras with black cloaks, but I can feel that they're all bona fide Tier 3 players, Illusory Words said, a hint of fear flashing in her eyes as she watched the Hell Legion march into the forest. In total, Shifeng's group had over 300 Tier 3 experts. Not even Crimson Emperor had so many at this stage of the game. Zero Wing has that many Tier 3 experts. The male assassin's jaw dropped. Only super guilds had such a large number of Tier 3 experts at this point. How could Zero Wing, a guild that had only established itself in God's domain and had no backing whatsoever, have as many Tier 3 experts as a super guild? While Illusory Words and the male assassin shared their shock over the number of Tier 3 experts Zero Wing had just sent into the Burning Forest, a young man in white robes and surrounded by the power of darkness stepped through the space-time gate, sneering when he overheard the two players' conversation. The fact that Zero Wing has over 300 Tier 3 experts is indeed surprising. Unfortunately, that force isn't nearly enough to get through the Burning Forest, the young man said, realizing that Shifeng's group had already disappeared into the woods. This is just a repeat of Battle Wolves' attempt to invade Demon City. Not only had Battle Wolves dispatched over 300 Tier 3 experts, but it had also sent an army of over 100,000 Tier 2 experts. In the end, Battle Wolves' army had been annihilated before it had reached the city. I've also heard that Demon's Heart has hired the city's large adventurer teams to stop Zero Wing's force. Those adventurer teams don't have a lot of members, but every one of them is strong enough to deter superpowers. If they work together, Zero Wing won't stand a chance. Neither the male assassin nor Illusory Words tried to argue with the white-clad youth. He had only spoken the truth. In fact, the boy's evaluation of Demon City's large adventurer teams was a little humble. Battle Wolves' army had suffered tremendous losses against those large adventurer teams, and they had undoubtedly grown stronger since slaughtering the guild's members. As the white-clad youth and Illusory Words quietly discussed the situation, a party of demon players had discovered Shifeng's team. Why have so many human players come to the burning forest? Are they the bounty targets Demon's Heart announced? And here I thought Demon's Heart was joking. I hadn't actually thought that these human players would dare enter our territory. Quick! Send word to the large adventurer teams. If we take too long to report this, someone else will and claim the reward. The demon party's members were ecstatic over discovering Shifeng's group. They immediately reported their discovery to the large adventurer teams within the forest. Just as they were about to contact one of the adventurer teams, however, over 100 figures descended from above, landing a short distance from Shifeng's team. They all wore jet black plate armor and wielded standard weapons. They also radiated dense power of darkness and emitted an intense pressure that even deterred Tier 3 experts from approaching. Crap! How is our luck so bad? I didn't know there was a demon patrol squad nearby. I guess we won't get credit for the discovery. After all, when the demon party members saw the figures in black, they could not help but shake their heads and sigh dejectedly. The burning forest was demon territory, and demon squads patrolled the area. Every one of these squads consisted of up to 3 Tier 4 Great Demons and 100 Tier 3 Advanced Demons. They also maintained a 10-level gap above Demon City's mainstream players. They weren't a force players should take lightly. These Demon Patrol squads were a large part of the reason that the Battle Wolves crusade on Demon City had failed before it had even reached the city gates. Now that one of these squads had discovered Shifeng's team, annihilation was almost certain. Furthermore, these demons had wings and were capable of flight. Even if Shifeng's group could fly, they wouldn't escape. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. The watching demon players expected Shifeng's group to turn and flee, but they didn't. Rather, they took the initiative to charge at the demon patrol squad as if they had just found their prey. The Guardian Knight leading the charge bashed his shield into one of the level 115, Tier 4 Great Demons, which subsequently lost its balance and stumbled half a step back. That Guardian Knight's strength was unbelievable. A 3-meter-tall man and his emaciated companion proceeded to pin down the other 2 Tier 4 Great Demons. The Tier 3 Advanced Demons wanted to help, but other members of Shifeng's team got in their way. Shifeng's team suppressed the Demon Patrol squad, which normally had an overwhelming advantage over players. The demons struggled against the players attacking them, unable to cooperate while their HPs visibly plummeted. In less than 30 minutes, the entire Demon Patrol squad had been eliminated. Not a single demon had escaped with its life. Chapter 25-21, Turmoil in the Burning Forest. As they watched the Demon Patrol squad become nothing more than EXP for Shifeng's team, the demon players gaped in shock. Who are those people? The spectating demon players in the distance were both shocked and curious as they watched Shifeng's team. The Demon Patrol squads formed a solid defensive barrier that prevented intruders from reaching Demon City. They were akin to NPC city soldiers. Not only did they have an arsenal of powerful skills and spells, but they could also fight as a team. They were nothing like ordinary demon players. However, these demons were little more than ordinary monsters before Shifeng. Are we still going to wait for the adventurer teams, leader, a level 105, Tier 2 Ranger asked, turning toward the Tier 3 assassin that led their party. Not even Demon City's large adventurer teams would have an easy time against a team that could annihilate a demon patrol squad so effortlessly. Otherwise, those adventurer teams wouldn't share much of their spoils with an ordinary party. Moreover, they'd have to risk their lives to keep an eye on Shifeng's team until the adventurer teams arrived. They were demon players and had far sharper senses than human players, but there was no guarantee that they wouldn't be discovered. On the off chance that Shifeng's team noticed them, the consequences would be dire. The risk simply wasn't worth the reward. Of course. Demon's Heart is offering extraordinary rewards. Even if we help kill one player and earn only 10% of the rewards, we'll still get a demon crystal. Once we have 120 demon crystals, we can challenge a noble in the city. It would take ages to collect that many if we just try to grind for them ourselves, the Tier 3 assassin said. We will have to be careful and maintain some distance from those players, of course. We don't need to follow them closely, we can just follow their tracks. Silently, the rest of the party nodded in agreement. They all thought that their party leader's plan was viable. With their superior senses, they could avoid detection, even if Shifeng's team were powerful, as long as they kept their distance. As soon as the Tier 3 assassin finished speaking, however, the cold blade of a dagger burst through his chest. A critical damage of over -900,000 then appeared above his head. Before the Tier 3 assassin could speak, a snowy white blade slit his throat, devouring the last of his HP leader. The party's remaining 5 Tier 2 members were flabbergasted. What had just happened? A second ago, their party leader had been alive and kicking, and in the next, he was dead. Their party leader was a Tier 3 assassin, and even in Demon City, he was quite the famous expert, yet he had just died so suddenly. As their leader dropped to the ground. An assassin? Crap. We've been discovered. Run. By the time the 5 demon players reacted, the alluring woman vanished like a ghost. She reappeared before the 5 demon players, and a streak of snowy white light immediately swiped at them. A series of damages exceeding 1 million appeared above each demon player's head, robbing them of all of their HPs. How foolish. You radiate so much mana that you're practically walking lanterns in the dark. You dare follow us with such skills? Fire Dance shook her head disdainfully at the demon players' confused looks. She thought they had severely underestimated her. What Fire Dance didn't know is that in this era, when Tier 3 players were still extremely rare, everyone busily researched how they could best use their Tier 3 skills and spells. No one had time to spare on improving their mana control. Guild leader, I've taken care of the nearby demon players, Fire Dance reported to Shifeng after ensuring that she didn't detect any hostile players' mana signatures nearby. Good. Continue patrolling the area. If you run into too many demon players, call the Hell Legion's assassins for help, Shifeng said, nodding. He then returned his gaze toward the loot the demon patrol squad had dropped. He hadn't expected the squads to drop anything good. They were on par with NPC City's soldiers, after all. NPC soldiers didn't drop anything noteworthy even when players killed them. Contrary to his expectations, however, the demons had dropped considerably valuable loot. The weapons and equipment were subpar, all level 110 plus standard secret silver and fine gold equipment, but the demons had dropped dark magic gold. Dark magic gold was an exceptionally rare epic material. Not only could one use it to increase their success rate when crafting weapons and equipment, but there was also a chance of imbuing the resulting items with power of darkness. It was a material all master forgers sought. He had obtained 14 ingots of dark magic gold after slaying 1 demon patrol squad. If the master forgers of his previous life found out about this, they'd likely hunt the Burning Forest's patrol squads into extinction. However, the Hell Legion's members were even more ecstatic than Shifeng. The demons they had killed had awarded an abundance of EXP, and during the battle, they had gained a lot of insight into mana control. Although the demons' mana control couldn't compare to actual NPCs, it was far better than dumb monsters. They usually only fought dumb monsters, they had almost no chances of battling NPCs. Why wouldn't they be excited to pit their skills against demons that were as intelligent as true NPCs? Initially, the Hell Legion hadn't been particularly eager to attack Demon City, but this discovery had lit an enthusiastic fire in their hearts. While exploring the Burning Forest, the Hell Legion made no attempts to avoid demon patrol squads. Instead, they actively started to search for them. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the Burning Forest, a 1,000-man team assaulted a monster nest under the protection of a level 110 mythic boss. Although the team only had 1,000 players, over 80 of them had already reached Tier 3. Not even first-rate guilds could field such a team at this stage of the game. The several players leading the team easily suppressed the mythic boss, allowing the rest of the team to deal with the great lords and grand lords. Excellent. The monsters that ran ahead have been taken care of. All tier 3s, attack the boss, a valiant, level 108 man in black robes and wielding a golden staff shouted as he fought the mythic boss. The 80+ tier 3 experts suddenly turned away from their targets, shifting their attention to the nest's boss. In less than 6 minutes, the mythic boss, which nearly everyone feared at this stage of the game, collapsed, dropping a pile of loot around its corpse. Although the independent teams watching from afar were tempted by the large number of items the mythic boss had dropped, none of them dared to steal the loot. The adventurer team raiding the monster nest was one of Demon City's large adventurer teams. The small organization was only inferior to the city's 2 guilds. Anyone that tried to steal from that adventurer team shouldn't dream of surviving in Demon City for long. Commander, Black Blind Man just sent a message stating that his party has discovered Demon's Heart's targets, a level 107, tier 3 assassin quietly reported to the valiant man leading the team. They're already here. The valiant man grinned. Notify everyone. We'll head that way immediately. Black Blind Man is a cunning bastard. There's no way he stopped after notifying our team. If we take too long, there won't be anything left. Black Blind Man also warned that these players are incredibly strong. They actually had the upper hand over a demon patrol squad, the tier 3 assassin said. They overpowered a patrol squad. I suppose they must be powerful. It's no wonder why Demon's Heart has offered such an excellent bounty, the valiant man said, nodding. Where are the targets now? He was very familiar with the demon patrol squad strength. No ordinary 100-man tier 3 team could take them on. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. I don't know, the tier 3 assassin awkwardly replied. Didn't Black Blind Man follow them? The valiant man asked curiously. He was also very familiar with the player known as Black Blind Man. Not only was the man powerful individually, but he was also one of the top-ranked assassins in Demon City. There was no way Black Blind Man would forego an opportunity like this. He's dead. Chapter 25-22, Great Disturbance, Blind Man's dead. The valiant man, Regretful Wind, was astonished by the report. Someone actually noticed him and killed him, with his cautious nature and tracking skills. Black Blind Man was a relatively well-known assassin in Demon City, and his sharp senses were particularly outstanding. When Demon City's large adventurer teams, including Wind Tooth, targeted a specific player, they often hired Black Blind Man to track the player down. Regretful Wind had never heard of Black Blind Man running into issues when tracking a target. Amicham. According to Blind Man's teammates, his grinding party had been annihilated without any time to fight back. In a fit of rage, Blind Man logged off and contacted his close friends to notify everyone in the city. He wants Demon City's players to ambush the people who killed him, the tier 3 assassin said, nodding. Unfortunately, his message is over 10 minutes old, and we don't have any new details about the invaders' whereabouts. Since those players can defeat a demon patrol squad, they must be fairly strong. I guess it isn't surprising to hear that they've killed Blind Man, but we have to hurry. Now that Blind Man has informed the public of the situation, many of the city's players will prepare for battle, Regretful Wind said, frowning. He wouldn't have much of an issue if Black Blind Man had simply informed the city's large adventurer teams. Only a small fraction of Demon City's player population consisted of large adventurer team members. Even if the adventurer teams mobilized all of their members, locating the intruders in the burning forest wouldn't be easy. If everyone in the city knew about them, however, locating the intruders would be a piece of cake, and the Windtooth adventurer team would have a lot more competition. Demon's Heart had offered an extraordinary bounty for these players' heads, with each intruder worth 10 demon crystals. Players could slay the monsters in demon territory for demon crystals, but the drop rate was incredibly low. Players could only increase their chances by hunting powerful monsters. Even the city's various large adventurer teams would be lucky to collect 10 or 20 demon crystals per day. Once players collected 20 demon crystals, they could apply for the challenge to earn a noble rank in the city. If they completed the challenge, they'd become one of Demon City's nobles and gain a significant boost to their strength. Even those with noble demon ranks had to acquire demon crystals to elevate their strength and position, although they would need even more demon crystals to do so. With the opportunity to earn 10 demon crystals per player killed before them, none of Demon City's residents would simply stand by and watch. Rest assured, Commander. I've already instructed our team to search the burning forest. It won't be long before we find the invaders. While I was grinding earlier, I also found a secret silver treasure chest and obtained an exotic perception potion. The potion can improve a player's senses and tracking abilities for 6 hours. Normally, players' tracks fade after an hour, but with this potion, I can even follow 4-hour-old tracks. If we make our way to Blindman's last known location, we should easily be able to locate these players, the Tier 3 assassin said, smiling. Even with the rest of Demon City's players after then, ordinary teams will be helpless against players this strong. We have more than enough time to claim the bounty. Good. We'll set off immediately. Once we locate our targets, you'll receive 10% of the bounty for your contributions. Also, instruct our brothers and sisters in the city to bring the trump cards we've kept hidden. Regretful Wind declared. Aren't you giving these newcomers a little too much credit, Commander? We've already stopped the Battle Wolves invasion. How strong could a bunch of nobodies from the Dark Den possibly be? The Tier 3 assassin asked disdainfully. The Dark Den was merely a small otherworld, with a pitifully low number of players. The otherworld's total player population didn't even come close to half of the players in an ordinary kingdom. The only advantages the Dark Den had were its impressive leveling environment and abundance of skill and spell books. There was no way such a small world could produce experts as powerful as those in Demon City. I know, but each of them is worth 10 demon crystals. Letting a single player escape would be a waste, and I doubt that Demon's Heart will be so generous in the future, Regretful Wind said. Regretful Wind had never once been wary of the invaders. Battle Wolves had tried to invade Demon City with over 100,000 experts, yet the Super Guild's army had been obliterated before it had even reached the city. If not even Battle Wolves could make it through the burning forest, what could a few hundred invaders accomplish? What Regretful Wind truly minded was the demon crystals Demon's Heart had offered. I understand. I'll notify our members in the city right away. The Tier 3 assassin then did as he promised. Meanwhile, a great disturbance had rocked Demon City. This is our chance to get rich. 10 demon crystals per person. We won't let anyone get in our adventurer team's way. The intruders have already appeared in the burning forest's outer region. Inform out nearby members immediately. We must find them before other teams do. Invader hunting team recruiting. Anyone who wants to earn demon crystals should apply quickly. As Black Blindman's friends spread the word, everyone in Demon City was in a frenzy. Over 100,000 players rushed toward the burning forest like a bunch of madmen. When Troubled Times, who rested in one of the city's high-class bars, heard the news, his expression turned gloomy. He hadn't thought that Shurfong would actually come here. There's no need to worry, Commander Troubled. Now that this matter has caused such a commotion, the large adventurer teams we've hired won't be the only ones on the hunt. Medium adventurer teams are also on the move. Even if every super guild in the Ten Saints Empire worked together, they'd never get past so many experts. A man in silver armor tried to reassure Troubled Times when he saw the man's concern. That's right. Even if Zero Wing somehow manages to make it to Demon City, Demon's Heart is still waiting for them. We stand by your side. Zero Wing's efforts will be for naught, Furious Heart said. He thought that Troubled Times was worried for nothing. You shouldn't underestimate Black Flame, Troubled Times said. Of course, if everyone here tries to stop him, I doubt he'll accomplish anything. Troubled Times had seen the strength of Demon's Heart's elders personally. They were all true monsters, particularly Furious Heart. The man was only half a step away from becoming a count in Demon City and was far stronger than Troubled Times, who had only recently become a Demon Viscount. Furthermore, Demon players who had the Viscount rank or higher received a strength boost while inside Demon City. While Demon City's players discussed Shifeng and his invading team, several thousand Wind Tooth members arrived in the Burning Forest's outer region. "Commander, I found traces of their battle, and the tracks are still fresh. They should be nearby," the masked, Tier 3 assassin excitedly reported as he examined the lingering traces Shifeng's team had left behind. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. EU, good. Proceed according to plan, everyone. Regretful Wind commanded, instructing his team to prepare for battle. These players began to follow the Tier 3 assassin's lead while suppressing their auras to the best of their ability to avoid detection. As they followed Shifeng's tracks, they encountered Demon Patrol Squad corpses. 100. 200. 300. By the time Windtooth's members had crossed 3,000 yards, they had found more than 1,000 demon corpses, and the freshest had been from a patrol squad with over 200 demons. Chapter 25-23, Run, Why are there so many fallen demon patrol squads? What happened here? Did those people kill all of these patrol squads? Windtooth's members were curious and afraid when they saw so many demon corpses strewn around them. The demon patrol squads served as a barrier between intruders and Demon City, with 10,000 demons patrolling the burning forest. Thus far, however, the adventure team had found more than 1,000 demon corpses. This was 1/10 of the burning forest's defenses. "Commander, there's something you need to see," the masked, Tier 3 assassin, who had scouted ahead, reported in the team chat. All of the team members put up their guard the moment they heard the assassin. Meanwhile, Regretful Wind hurried to the assassin's side. Finding his comrade, Regretful Wind arrived before a forested area laden with player corpses. To his surprise, however, there was no sign of battle. Some of the weapons and equipment the players had dropped hadn't been touched, and after a quick glance around, Regretful Wind counted more than 200 bodies. Based on how organized the corpses lay, it looked as if death had befallen them as the group marched through the forest. It was almost as if the battle had ended as abruptly as it had begun, and none of these players had had a chance to react to the attack. While scanning the dead, Regretful Wind quickly noticed the familiar faces of several Tier 3 experts. He clearly wasn't pleased about it either. How was Misty Ghost's main force annihilated? Regretful Wind stared at the fallen team in confusion. What happened here? Misty Ghost was a relatively famous medium-scale adventure team based in Demon City. Although the adventure team had fewer than 2,000 members, it had over 30 Tier 3 experts, including 1 Demon Viscount and 10 Demon Barons. Even Windtooth would struggle to defeat Misty Ghost. And yet, Misty Ghost's main force had died here. They hadn't even had a chance to fight back. It was unbelievable. "I don't see Misty Ghost's commander, 7 Constellations, among the corpses, Commander," the Tier 3 assassin reported after carefully examining the bodies. "He's not here." Regretful Wind took a closer look at the slain players, as well, and just as the masked assassin had said, 7 Constellations wasn't present. He breathed a deep sigh of relief. 7 Constellations was Misty Ghost's sole Demon Viscount and one of the top 10 assassins in the Demon City. Even Regretful Wind would have a hard time defeating the man. If 7 Constellations had died as suddenly as his team, Regretful Wind's prey would be far stronger than he has surmised. "I have found traces of a battle. It's possible that he and his surviving teammates were involved," the masked assassin said as he looked toward the towering trees some distance away. The trees were large enough that it would take several people to wrap their arms around the trunks, but they had been sliced cleanly through. Moreover, lingering life auras clung to the trees. The fight wasn't that long ago. Misty Ghost's members must have encountered the invaders. They might still be fighting as we speak, Regretful Wind guessed, staring at the bisected trees. Notify the team. We're going after them, and we won't bother hiding our presence. Understood. The masked assassin nodded before contacting the team. Windtootha's several thousand members charged past the cut trees, and they made no attempt to hide. It wasn't long before they encountered another group boldly marching through the forest. The group had more than 4,000 players, and Windtootha's members tensed when they saw them. I see you've picked up the scent, as well, Old Wind, the savage woman carrying 2 dark blue axes and leading the group said, smiling at Regretful Wind. This is interesting. Now, all of Demon City's top 3 adventure teams are here. I suppose this is only the second time since the fight with Battle Wolves, a dignified, debonair man carrying an ancient bow spoke up. When they heard the 2 leaders, Windtootha's members released a held breath. These 2 were the commanders from Crimson Sand and Eternal Night, 2 of Demon City's top adventure teams. They were also Regretful Wind's old acquaintances. Indeed. The last time we worked together, we helped Demon's Heart secure more territory, Regretful Wind said. Smiling, he continued, well. How are we going to split the profits this time? Regretful Wind was very familiar with the 2 players before him. Since they had found each other in the forest, Windtooth had lost its chance to monopolize the bounty rewards. But the encounter also eased the pressure on Regretful Wind's adventure team. No force that could instantly wipe out Misty Ghost's main force should be underestimated. Even Windtooth would suffer tremendous losses if it tried to take on such a force alone. If his adventure team worked with Crimson Sand and Eternal Night, however, the 3 teams could minimize their losses and maximize their profits. There's not much to consider. We'll split them evenly. I'm sure you find this acceptable, correct? Helpless Smile, the bow-carrying man who commanded Eternal Night, said. Flame Feather, Crimson Sand's commander, nodded in agreement. Deal. That way, we won't have to compete for contribution and can divide the work, Regretful Wind replied without hesitation. If their 3 adventure teams tried to outdo each other, the fight would descend into chaos. Doing so would only weaken their teams. The gains weren't worth the losses. Rather, they'd all be better off cooperating, maximizing their combat power. None of the 3 teams even considered that they might be ripped off by another. Each of the teams was on par with the others, and they all had around 3 or 4 demon viscounts and 30 demon barons. They each also had around 70 or 80 tier 3 experts. Good. That settles it. When we find the rumored monster, I'll hold him back. Old Wind and Smile, back me up from the sides, Flame Feather said. Regretful Wind was the 3rd-ranked elementalist in Demon City, and one of the publicly acknowledged top 10 experts in the city. Although Helpless Smile wasn't quite as powerful, he still ranked among the top 15 experts in Demon City. In a support role, he was one of the 5 best players in the city. No problem. Neither Regretful Wind nor Helpless Smile objected to Flame Feather's plan. She was the strongest melee player among their adventure teams, after all. Flame Feather was also the only 3-star Viscount in any of their teams, only 1 step away from becoming a Count. Shortly after the 3 commanders came to an arrangement, they heard the sound of battle from the nearby forest. All 3 teams immediately charged toward the sound. After crossing about 500 yards, a loud explosion rocked the forest. Boom! A figure suddenly shot past the 3 adventure teams like a cannonball, crashing into a large tree roughly 100 yards away from Regretful Wind. The tree shattered instantly, falling, while the figure slid down its trunk to the ground. To everyone's surprise, this figure radiated an even stronger aura than a Grand Lord of the same level. Even so, the figure rapidly lost HP 7 constellations. Regretful Wind paled when he recognized the player. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. EU Flame Feather and Helpless Smile looked at the player with somber expressions, as well. They were all familiar with 7 constellations and the strength he wielded. Demon City didn't have many Viscounts, and as such, they all, more or less, knew each other. Despite his noble demon rank, however, 7 constellations had just been defeated. The man hadn't even had a chance to flee. They could only imagine how strong his opponent was. Mon, stir. Run, quickly, 7 constellations hissed between clenched teeth when he saw the nearby adventurer teams. Before he could finish his warning, however, his HP dropped to 0, and his body went as limp as a puppet with its strings cut. Chapter 25-24, She is the Monster. The 3 adventurer team's members were senseless when 7 constellations died. A monster, huh? Regretful Wind frowned, contemplating 7 constellations' dying words. Demon Viscounts stood at the apex of Demon City, and 7 constellations was an assassin, a class that boasted its survivability. And yet, he had just died. Moreover, 7 constellations had warned their 3 adventurer teams away. It was clear that in his mind, these 3 teams were no match for the monster he had just faced, even if they worked together. Although that was only the assassin's opinion, his words should be credible. If 7 constellations focused on getting away, not even the top-ranked experts in Demon City could stop him. But he had still fallen. It seems our opponent isn't as simple as we thought. What do you guys think? Regretful Wind asked the other 2 commanders. If they fought an opponent that even 7 constellations feared, the outcome wouldn't be as pleasant as they hoped. It's no wonder why Demon's Heart has offered such a gracious bounty, Helpless Smile replied, staring at the assassin's corpse. But this isn't the first time we've faced monstrous experts. Besides, if we flee, we'll become laughingstocks in Demon City by tomorrow. Although Helpless Smile felt the weight of 7 constellations' warning, it wasn't enough to order a retreat. Even if these intruders are powerful, there's no guarantee that we can't defeat them, Flame Feather agreed with a nod. Fighting spirit burned in her eyes as she launched into another charge. Don't forget, we have the home ground advantage. Our opponent may be a monster, but we'll still make him suffer. Monster-like experts were something to be feared. Ordinary Tier 3 experts had no hope against such players. However, their adventurer teams had fought monster-like experts before, particularly during the fight with Battle Wolves. Yet, these monstrous experts hadn't been powerful enough to save the guild from its miserable defeat in the Burning Forest. Furthermore, their adventurer teams had grown stronger since then. She was confident that they could hold their ground against monster-like experts and that they still had a chance at victory. The members of all 3 adventurer teams nodded in agreement with Flame Feather's sentiment. Achieving victory might be difficult if their teams fought alone, but they had all agreed to work together. Not even the 10 Saints Empire's superpowers would dare to take on their combined force, much less a measly team of 300+. It wasn't long after she finished speaking, however, that everyone noticed a lithe figure beside 7 constellations' corpse. The figure silently looted the assassin's body as if she didn't have a care in the world. What amazing concealment techniques! Surprise flashed in Regretful Wind's eyes when he saw the woman who had abruptly appeared. As demon players, their perception of non-demon races' life signatures was incredibly powerful. Even an assassin in stealth would have a hard time hiding from demon players, especially with less than 100 yards between them. However, they couldn't seem to detect a trace of the female assassin's presence. The woman's mastery of concealment arts was unrivaled, even in Demon City. Is she the monster 7 constellations warned us about? Helpless Smile's expression tensed as he watched the alluring woman a short distance away. If he encountered the assassin normally, she'd kill him 9 out of 10 times. He finally realized, more or less, why 7 constellations had failed to escape. Interesting. I'm going to fight her. Flame Feather declared, her fighting spirit reaching its peak. She then activated demonification and charged at the female assassin, wielding her axes. As the only 3-star demon Viscount, activating her demonification would not only strengthen her physique by a large margin, but her basic attributes would also undergo a qualitative transformation. In her demon form, every action she took could transform the terrain around her. With just her Tier 2 demon charge, Flame Feather had bathed her surroundings in a sea of fire and shook space itself. Another ambush? Sensing Flame Feather charging toward her, Fire Dance stored the dagger she had just picked up from 7 Constellations' corpse and unsheathed the short sword hanging at her waist. In that case, I'll bury you alongside them. Fire Dance then swung 1,000 transformations through the empty air before her. Tier 3 skill, Triple Flash. 3 streaks of black light shot toward Flame Feather, one after another and as fast as lightning. However, Flame Feather's enhanced physique allowed her to brandish her axes during her charge in turn. Tier 3 skill, Demon Storm. Boom. 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 A series of explosions echoed throughout the forest, and the powerful shockwaves knocked down trees while stirring dirt and debris into the air. Among the chaos, Flame Feather stumbled 3 steps back as a damage of over -50,000 appeared above her head. The difference between the two women's strengths was clear. What? Flame Feather was pushed back even in her demon form. The scene astonished Helpless Smile. He was perfectly aware of how powerful Flame Feather became after activating demonification. She was undoubtedly the strongest player among 3 adventurer teams. In her demon form, Flame Feather's Tier 3 skills were nearly as powerful as Tier 4 attacks, yet she had just lost a competition of strength against this human assassin. Amazing. It's no wonder why 7 Constellations called you a monster and assumed that we're no match for you, Flame Feather said, the flame of passion in her eyes burning even brighter than before. She launched into another charge, continuing, if I were alone, I wouldn't be a match for you, but in this forest, I'm not your only opponent. Regretful Wind finished activating his demonification as Flame Feather finished her statement, and he began to chant an incantation. When he completed it, he slammed the butt of his staff on the ground, and a golden, 2-fold magic array appeared under his feet. Tier 3 spell, Earthen Roar. Suddenly, the earth beneath Fire Dance's feet burst, exploding with countless streaks of light. Meanwhile, Helpless Smile didn't waste time. After activating demonification, he pulled the string of his ancient bow and launched 6 arrows into the sky, which formed a 6-pointed star above the assassin. Tier 3 skill, Demon Thorns. As the star-shaped magic array took form, pitch-black magic arrows descended, each with the power of a Grand Lord-ranked archaic species. Under Helpless Smile's control, a total of 18 magic arrows fell, diverting Fire Dance's attention away from Flame Feather. The nearby adventure team members gaped, impressed by their commander's coordination. They had never guessed that those 3 would be so strong when they worked together. How was this still a battle between players? It was basically a fight between monsters. Not even Battle Wolves monster-level experts could stop their 3 commanders when they cooperated. With attacks coming in from all directions, Fire Dance was forced to activate a life-saving skill. She immediately used shadow steps to appear behind Flame Feather, evading the countless streaks of light. She dodged most of the 18 magic arrows, relying on Wind Step's brief invulnerability to block 5 unavoidable shots. She then tried to block the 2 incoming axes with 1,000 transformations. Boom! Fire Dance didn't have time to use a skill to block the axes, filled with power of darkness, in time, and as her short sword collided with Flame Feather's weapons, she was sent flying, losing 70,000 HP in the process. She didn't even have 1 million total HP, and the strike claimed a visible chunk. All hail the commanders. So what if she's a monster? She's still at a disadvantage against our commanders. The adventurer team members were ecstatic and overcome with pride to see one of their commanders dominate this monstrous assassin. The various superpowers monster-level experts were a nightmare for adventurer teams like theirs. Although their teams had defeated Battle Wolves' monstrous players, that had only been possible because of Demon's Heart's help. To be precise, their 3 adventurer teams had merely played a support role. However, their teams now had the strength to deal with monster-level experts, too. Now that she's alone, we can't let her escape. Flame Feather shouted to Regretful Wind and Helpless Smile. Fire Dance was clearly the invader's cornerstone, and since she was alone, this was the perfect chance to take her out. If they could not defeat her, and she regrouped with her allies, dealing with her would prove far more challenging. Relax. I've already had people set up a spatial barrier. She might be an assassin, but she won't get away that easily. Regretful Wind replied, grinning. After witnessing the initial clash between Flame Feather and Fire Dance, Regretful Wind realized the importance of this battle. Hence, he had instructed his subordinates to set up a magic barrier before he had even joined the fight. He wanted to ensure that they could flee if they were no match for the assassin, and if they were, that they'd have an easier time taking her down. Although they now had the upper hand, killing a monster like Fire Dance wouldn't be easy, but with the magic barrier up, they could buy enough time to complete the task. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. Even as Regretful Words finished his statement, a gigantic barrier rose around the battlefield, covering a 200-yard radius. 88 magical class players powered the array, and not even a Tier 4 mythic monster would find it easy to break out of. Good. Now, she's dead. Flame Feather sighed with relief as the barrier took effect. A second after the magic barrier completed, however, an arc of blue lightning struck from a distance. Boom! Everyone heard the sound of glass shattering as the sturdy barrier disintegrated into particles of light. As the adventurer team's members looked around in confusion, a deep voice reached them from the distant forest. It seems you've taken good care of my companion, but since you're looking for a fight, let me join in. Chapter 25-25, True Monster. When the 3 adventurer teams heard the deep voice, their expressions betrayed their apprehension. The 3 commanders were particularly tense as they continued their fight against Fire Dance. There's more than one monster. Regretful Wind's expression hardened while he watched the magic barrier fade away. 88 magical class players had powered that barrier. It should even withstand quite a few attacks from a mythic monster. And yet, that barrier had just shattered after a single attack. Another monster-level expert among the invaders was the only possible explanation, and this newcomer definitely had the strength of mythic monsters. He should be even stronger than the female assassin they currently faced. A single team has 2 monsters. Who are these people? Helpless Smile growled, frowning. He had never expected the invaders to have more than one monster-level expert. The 3 of them were already having a rough time trying to suppress Fire Dance. If another expert of her caliber joined the fight, they'd be in trouble. So what if there's another monster? Why should we fear them? Resolutely, Flame Feather reminded her comrades, don't forget that we have over 5,000 players, including 7 more demon viscounts and nearly 100 demon barons. What is one extra monster compared to our forces? The only reason the 3 commanders had attacked was to gauge how much they had improved since the war with Battle Wolves. Furthermore, ordinary Tier 3 experts would only get in their way in such an intense battle. If they had to face 2 monsters, however, the members of their adventurer teams could keep the second one busy. Even if their teams couldn't kill the other monster, they could buy enough time for the commanders to finish off Fire Dance. Eventually, their adventurer teams would secure victory, even if some of their members died. That's right. However, it seems we'll incur some losses in this operation, Helpless Smile said, nodding. He then gestured to one of his subordinates in the distance and said, Blue, lead our main force members to stop the other monster. Try to buy as much time as possible. Understood, the Tier 3 Shield Warrior, Blue Sea, responded. Mandala, take your group and go with them. Flame Feather ordered a Tier 3 Dark Druid on her team. Poison, I'm giving you command of our members, Regretful Wind shouted to the masked assassin named Poison Heart. If worst comes to worst, use that. Just make sure that you keep the second monster away from us for now. Are you sure that I can use it? Poison Heart instantly grew excited upon receiving permission from his commander. I promise, he won't get anywhere near you. Overhearing the order, both Flame Feather and Helpless Smile glanced at Regretful Wind in astonishment. What? Old Wind, you were the one who bought that thing during the last intermediate auction? Flame Feather blurted. There was only one item she could think of that could easily deal with monster-level experts, and it was one of the items that had appeared in the last intermediate auction in Demon City's auction house. Satan's Remnant Soul. That item was a true treasure. It would allow a player to transform into a Tier 4 Great Demon for a short time. Players would also have access to all the skills and spells in a Tier 4 Great Demon's arsenal. Satan's Remnant Soul's only flaw was its short, 30-minute duration. Even so, every demon player in Demon City had gone crazy over the item. Aside from the strength boost, Satan's Remnant Soul granted players better control over Power of Darkness, albeit temporarily. This experience would be immensely helpful when players took the challenges to increase their demon ranks. Just having a Satan's Remnant Soul in one's bag was a major deterrent for the city's various major powers. No power or adventurer team wanted to incur the wrath of a Tier 4 Great Demon, after all. When the Satan's Remnant Soul had been put up for auction, Demon City's various major powers had bid for it like madmen. Moreover, the seller didn't accept coins, but demon crystals, which were the standard form of currency in Demon City's intermediate auctions. In the end, someone had purchased the Satan's Remnant Soul for an astronomical sum of 1,000 demon crystals, but the buyer hasn't revealed their identity. The mystery of who now owned the item had been a hot topic among the city's major powers. Even Helpless Smile flashed Regretful Wind a surprised look. He had never dreamed that Windtooth had hidden such a powerful trump card. If Eternal Night had clashed with Windtooth, the consequences would have been dire for his adventurer team. That being said, he had to admit that he was glad to work with Windtooth right now. Amicham. I dug up practically everything we had to win it, Regretful Wind proudly confirmed. I had wanted to save it for a fight against a superior mythic, but I don't mind using it to annihilate these invaders. I will say this, however, any invader Poison Heart kills belongs to Windtooth. Since you're willing to go to such lengths, we won't take advantage of you. Don't worry, Helpless Smile agreed, nodding. That's right. We won't ask for any loot from an invader the Great Demon slays. I'd be even happier if the Great Demon takes care of the two monsters, Flame Feather said, laughing. She had been confident that the three of them could defeat Fire Dance eventually with the magic barrier to back them up, but now that the barrier had fallen, they wouldn't be able to stop the assassin if she focused on fleeing. This battle would go much smoother if Poison Heart could take care of the two monstrous invaders. In the fields, monster-level experts posed an extraordinary threat, especially if they had no qualms with hit-and-run tactics. They were an absolute nightmare to deal with. That's reassuring, Regretful Wind said. He then turned toward Poison Heart and said, since the two commanders have agreed, use it, Poison. The Satan's Remnant Soul was precious, and there was almost no chance that another would go up for auction, but obtaining the monster-level experts' weapons and equipment would make it a worthwhile transaction. The superb quality of their weapons and equipment was a large part of the reason that monster-level experts were so much stronger than peak experts. He could likely earn back the cost of using the Satan's Remnant Soul with just one of their weapons or equipment pieces, possibly even more. Poison Heart was elated as he pulled a black bottle from his bag and started to remove the seal. He had hoped he could use the Satan's Remnant Soul to help him become a 2-star Viscount, but because the item was so valuable, he didn't want to use it solely for his promotion. He had wanted to save it until he could use it to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, which was why the item had remained in his bag for so long. Now that he had found the perfect opportunity, he wouldn't hold back. Once Poison Heart had removed the seal, he doubled in size, and 2 pairs of jet-black wings, enveloped in fire, grew from his back. So strong. So, this is the power of a Tier 4 Great Demon. Poison Heart exclaimed as he felt an immense power course through his veins. So much strength. Absolute power. This omnipotent feeling was intoxicating. Sure enough, a great demon is truly awe-inspiring. Poison can now likely slay all of the intruders without our help. Helpless Smile said. He couldn't help but feel a little jealous as he gazed at Poison Heart's new form and sensed the assassin's intense aura. Poison, I'll leave the rest to you. Remember, you need to finish this battle quickly. We won't be able to hold on for long. Regretful Wind shouted to his subordinate before casting another spell against Fire Dance. Leave it to me, Commander. I'll make sure they all die. Poison Heart declared. He flapped his wings and flew straight toward the source of the deep voice. He was so fast that the team's Tier 2 demon players didn't even have time to react. So fast. These invaders are dead now. The 3 adventurer team's members were astonished when Poison Heart vanished in the blink of an eye. Some of them even pitied Shifeng's team. Even working together, their teams wouldn't have been a match for Shifeng's people if they had attacked before the Battle Wolves Crusade, but after that fight, they had gained a bountiful harvest that had helped them undergo qualitative transformations. Now, with the Great Demon, Poison Heart, by their side, they were all confident that their teams could repel Battle Wolves' army by themselves, let alone a laughable team of 300+ experts. What a pity. It seems your companion is doomed. Flame Feather said, grinning as she brandished her axes at Fire Dance. I think you're the one that should pray for your friend. Fire Dance rolled her eyes at the other woman. I think you've misunderstood something from the very beginning. Misunderstood? And what would that be? Flame Feather asked curiously. I'm not responsible for killing that assassin. In fact, I hadn't even seen him before looting his body, Fire Dance said. I only came to collect the items. The 3 commanders immediately paled. What do you mean? You didn't kill 7 constellations. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. You're not the monster he was talking about. Regretful Wind, Flame Feather, and Helpless Smile simultaneously recalled 7 constellations dying monster. Run quickly. If Fire Dance hadn't seen the assassin before he died, she couldn't be the monster he had warned them about. But before the 3 commanders could respond, they heard a series of explosions from the nearby forest, and the ground under their feet shook violently. After a few seconds, a colossal figure flew toward them, slamming into a nearby tree and felling it. The figure was none other than Poison Heart, who had just flown toward the other monster-level expert a moment ago. Chapter 25-26, Despair of 3 Adventurer Teams, Poison. Regretful Wind was shocked and he saw Poison Heart's miserable figure lying at the base of the collapsed tree. Right now, the assassin was a bona fide Tier 4 being. He was even stronger than Tier 4 players. The man had command of every Tier 4 skill and spell a great demon possessed, which was an advantage that Tier 4 players wouldn't have. And yet, someone had thrown Poison Heart with an attack. When Flame Feather and Helpless Smile saw this, they found the scene incredibly familiar. They had encountered 7 constellations in the same way. Is the monster 7 constellations referred to in that area of the forest? Helpless Smile tensed as he recalled the other assassin's warning. They had gone to great lengths to corner Fire Dance, yet just when they thought they had curbed the monster 7 constellations had warned them about, reality's punchline hit them. Flame Feather was also momentarily dazed over the unexpected revelation, and for a moment, she forgot about her fight with Fire Dance, very nearly letting the female assassin kill her. After a brief moment of silence, a man emerged from between the nearby trees. He was fully clad in pitch-black light armor and hid his appearance under a black cloak. 2 long swords hung from his belt, and the frightening amount of mana he radiated formed a layer of mist around his body. Within the burning forest, he looked like the Grim Reaper, and everyone who saw him felt chills crawl down his spine. The three adventure team's main force members, who had been prepared to follow Poison Heart into battle, glanced back at their commanders. None of them were sure whether or not they should try to confront this invader. If this man had even thrown Poison Heart, who had transformed into a great demon, they'd suffer an even worse fate. It was highly likely that they'd die instantly, just like 7 constellations did. The mana he's radiating is practically even denser than Poison Heart's. Is he really just a tier 3 player? Flame Feather exclaimed when she saw Shifeng. Although determining a player's strength by the mana they radiated wasn't possible, the more mana wafting from one's body, the stronger their skills and spells would be. They'd also have higher physical stats and could more easily exhibit combat power beyond their limits. The amount of mana under his control was precisely the reason Poison Heart had felt omnipotent after reaching tier 4. However, this tier 3 swordsman commanded even more mana than Poison Heart did after his transformation. It was unbelievable. Could he have unlocked his mana body's full potential? Regretful Wind thought of a possibility as he sensed the immense amount of mana surrounding Shifeng. He couldn't think of any other reason that would let a tier 3 player command so much mana. Is a fully unlocked mana body really this strong? Helpless Smile wondered, skeptical about Regretful Wind's guess. As demon players, unlocking their mana body's potential proved far more difficult than it was for human players because their body's structure was completely different. Hence, Demon City's players hadn't paid much attention to their mana body's potential. They felt that raising their demon ranks was a better use of their time. Not even most great demons they came across had fully unlocked mana bodies. Demon players were also physically stronger than humans, and they controlled more. They simply didn't need to go to the trouble of unlocking their mana body's potential. As long as they raised their demon rank, they were more than powerful enough to suppress human players. But Helpless Smile had never dreamed that human players with fully unlocked mana bodies would be this strong. The amount of mana Shifeng controlled was enough to give him goosebumps. It was easy to imagine how powerful the swordsman's skills and spells would be. This isn't worth the trouble. Demon's Heart didn't offer nearly enough demon crystals for us to take on a monster like that. As Regretful Wind watched this Grim Reaper approach, he inwardly cursed the Dark Guild. If he had known that he'd have to fight a monster like this swordsman, he never would have led his team here. Even if they managed to defeat Shifeng, it would be a Pyrrhic victory. 3,000 plus demon crystals wouldn't even come close to compensating their losses. What are you afraid of? He's just one person. There's a limit to his stamina. Poison didn't even take that much damage. We can definitely wear him down if our main force members work together. As long as we defeat this assassin, we can take our time with the swordsman. Flame Feather shouted when she realized that the 3 adventure team's main force members were cowering in fear. Her insistence snapped the main force members out of their daze, and they trusted that the commander was correct. Regardless of how powerful a player was, there was a limit to one's stamina. Shifeng was merely one person. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't kill them all. Aside from the 100 or so demon barons, they had over 5,000 demon experts with them. Their teams were more than capable of whittling Shifeng down. That's right. So what if he is strong? We still have a great demon on our side. We can just keep healing Poison Heart, and that guy won't be able to stop us. Kill him. His weapons and equipment will only strengthen our adventure teams. Fighting spirit burned within the adventure team's members, and they immediately moved into formation, slowly approaching Shifeng. No. Run. Everyone, get out of here. Poison Heart, who had just recovered from the crash, shouted, panicking as he watched his comrades move toward the human swordsman. They all turned toward the assassin, confused by the warning. They couldn't understand what he was trying to do. Did the man hit his head that hard? He's not alone. There's an entire team of monsters in those trees. Poison Heart hurriedly added. Before anyone could react, new figures began to appear behind Shifeng. The new arrivals concealed their levels and appearances under black cloaks, but their auras were horrifically intense. The several players leading the group had such a powerful combined aura that the adventure team's members felt stifled. They felt even stronger than Grand Lords of the same level. Damn it! How is this possible? The blood drained from Regretful Wind's face when he saw the Hell Legion. Everyone, retreat. Retreat immediately. Both Fire Dance and Shifeng had suppressed their auras, so Regretful Wind hadn't been able to tell how strong they were. He could only guess based on his instincts and the mana they radiated. The Hell Legion members didn't bother to hide their auras, however. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. EU. From the power Regretful Wind sensed, at least 5 of those human players were even stronger than Grand Lords of the same level, and even the weakest of the remaining members nearly rivaled Grand Lords. If their 3 adventurer teams tried to fight this group, it'd be a one-sided massacre. Hearing Regretful Wind's order, the stunned adventurer teams snapped out of their daze and fled in all directions like a flock of startled birds. Damn it! Run! Flame Feather did the same, fleeing the moment she saw Hell Rush and his companions. As she ran, a deep hatred for Demon's heart blossomed in her chest. What a joke! The enemy team had at least 6 monster-level experts, and more than 300 of them could rival Grand Lords of the same level. This was no longer a force that Demon City's powers could take on individually. They'd only have a chance of defeating these intruders if they gathered all of the combat power in the city. Anyone that tried to fight these human players on their own would be digging their own grave. Escape? Don't you think it's a little late for that? When the 3 adventurer teams began to flee, Shifeng turned to the Hell Legion and growled, "Kill them. Leave none alive." Chapter 25-27, Sweeping Victory. As soon as Shifeng gave the command, the Hell Legion pounced on the fleeing demon players like ravenous tigers. Although demonized players' physiques and basic attributes were superior to ordinary human players, and they could run much faster than humans, the Hell Legion's members were among the best in Netherworld Empire. Moreover, they had some of the best equipment available in God's domain at this stage of the game. Including their special bloodline, their basic attributes were even higher than the adventure team's demonized members. The Hell Legion's experts caught up to the fleeing adventure teams in no time at all. Damn it! They're too fast. You think you can bully me? I'll fight you to the death. I refuse to believe I can't defeat at least one of you. Realizing that escape was impossible, the adventurer teams turned and decided to stand up to the Hell Legion. Over 1,000 Tier 2 experts tried to meet the incoming Hell Legion experts, and although they knew they had a basic attribute advantage, they moved into defensive formations, with MTs on the front line and ranged players in the back. Their coordination was smooth, giving the Hell Legion's experts no chance to face them one-on-one. Skills and spells proceeded to fly toward the Hell Legion, adding colorful lights to the Crimson Forest. Boom! 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 As the attacks landed, countless explosions echoed throughout the forest, and thick smoke filled the area as if it had just been bombed from above. Trees caught in the crossfire were blown to smithereens. You guys might be powerful, but I refuse to believe that you can take so many attacks without taking damage. The 3 adventure teams' attacking members looked smug when they saw that they had transformed part of the forest into an empty flatland. They also grew more confident about facing the Hell Legion. When they usually worked in teams of 100 or less, they were helpless against peak experts, but with over 1,000 players attacking in formation, they could launch a continuous assault on a single point. The Hell Legion members shouldn't think they could approach so easily. Before the adventurer teams could celebrate, however, the Hell Legion's members emerged from the cloud of smoke. Not one of the human experts had lost a single HP after the bombardment, much less suffered any severe injuries. Their steady advance seemed like those attacks had meant nothing to them. How is this possible? The 3 adventure team's offensive members were stupefied. Even peak experts would have to take cover against their frenzied attacks, yet these experts continued to advance like nothing had happened. They hadn't pushed them back in the slightest. In fact, the Hell Legion was even closer now. The adventure team's main force members, who had long since fled, shook their heads at the scene. How can anyone think those experts would be so easy to defeat? Players that hadn't yet reached Tier 3 simply couldn't understand how terrifying Tier 3 players were. That bombardment wouldn't even have damaged the adventure team's Tier 3 players, much less the Hell Legion. With the extraordinary physique and basic attributes Tier 3 players had at their disposal, evading most Tier 2 players' skills and spells was a piece of cake. Even if they couldn't dodge the more flexible and accurate attacks, they could block them. Without tremendous power, Tier 2 players would have an incredibly hard time dealing damage to a Tier 3 expert. At worst, they'd only lose some stamina and concentration. In an instant, the Hell Legion's experts arrived before the adventure team's frontline MTs. Streaks of light struck the MTs' vitals, dealing hundreds of thousands of damages and plundering all of the MTs' HPs. From afar, it looked like the MTs had been cursed as they fell, one after another. Over 1,000 experts from the 3 adventure teams had fallen in just a dozen or so seconds. The remaining players, who had pondered staying for the fight, gasped. They had already known the difference between the two sides' combat power was massive, but they had never dreamed that it would be this huge. Every player that had chosen to fight had fallen in the initial clash. Only the adventure team's main force members weren't surprised. In truth, the Hell Legion didn't just have incredible basic attributes, their combat standards were also absurdly high. Unlike Shifeng and Fire Dance, the Hell Legion's experts made no attempt to hide their combat standards, which made it easy for the main force members to notice. Meanwhile, from what they could tell, even the weakest human player of the team had reached the Flowing Water Realm, while most of the Hell Legion had reached the Void Realm. The 3 adventure team's commanders had only recently reached the Void Realm, and none of their teammates had caught up to them. The Hell Legion continued to cull the 3 adventure teams like the Grim Reaper himself. Their assault was unstoppable. The adventure teams didn't even have the chance to buy their commanders any time. At this point, only the 3 commanders and Poison Heart, who was still a Tier 4 Great Demon, had any chance of escape. However, Shifeng, Hell Rush, and the others had suppressed the 4 demon players, who rapidly lost HP. In less than 10 minutes, the forest floor was covered in several thousand demon player corpses. None of the 3 adventure team's members had gotten away with their lives. Demon City, Demon's Heart's residence. Commander Troubled, what do you think of the training room we've constructed? Furious Heart asked, smiling as he gestured to the marble building before him. It's amazing. The darkness energy seeping from it is already so dense. If demon players train in the building, they'll most likely climb to the Baron rank very quickly. They might even meet the conditions to reach the Viscount rank, Troubled Time surmised, shocked as he examined the training room bathed in darkness energy. Raising their nobility ranks wasn't easy for demon players. Not only did they need enough demon crystals, but they also needed to pass a test. Aside from their combat power, players would be tested on their ability to manipulate darkness energy. Unfortunately, even in demon territories, areas with dense darkness energy were incredibly rare, so demon players didn't have many opportunities to control high amounts of darkness energy. The Dark Den was a special case since many areas of the Otherworld were rich in darkness energy and helpful to demon players as they trained. However, Demon's Heart had successfully constructed its own training room, containing an abundance of darkness energy. The guild's foundations were nearly unshakable. This training room will even be helpful to those trying to secure their Count rank, not to mention Viscount rank, Furious Heart said, chuckling. However, our guild has spent most of the darkness crystals and primal darkness stones we've accumulated thus far to construct the room. I see. That's why its darkness energy is so dense. Realization dawned on Troubled Times. Darkness crystals and primal darkness stones were both far more valuable than magic crystals and mana Oregon. Both items contained high amounts of darkness energy and were significantly helpful to demon players. However, these darkness-attuned crystals and ores were immensely difficult to obtain. Players were rarely willing to invest them in a large training room's construction. We've only accomplished the feat thanks to the alliance our Vice Guild leader has secured. He is currently in the midst of negotiating our continued partnership, and if he succeeds, he intends to share a portion of the resources with the Sentinel Shelter. You might even be able to construct a training room for yourselves, Furious Heart said. Really? Troubled Time's eyes glowed at the prospect. If the Sentinel Shelter could construct its own darkness-attuned training room, even if it were only a small training room, he wouldn't have to worry about his shelter's development. The Sentinel Shelter might even become strong enough to rule over all of the Dark Den, not to mention becoming the #1 shelter. Amicham. Furious Heart nodded, smiling. Once you grow a little stronger, the Vice Guild leader also intends to provide enough resources for you to become a demon count. You will stand at the peak of God's domain, Commander Troubled. Elder Heart, please inform Vice Guild leader Flaming Light that he has nothing to worry about. The Sentinel Shelter will not disappoint him. I guarantee that we will become Demon's Heart's second major city, Troubled Time said. He could not help his growing excitement when he heard that Demon's Heart would help him with his promotion to Demon Count. Becoming a Demon Count wasn't an easy task. Once a demon player earned the Count rank, their strength would undergo a qualitative transformation. Like in the various NPC kingdoms and empires, players were considered high nobles once they reached the rank of Count and above, enjoying unimaginable status. As a Count, Troubled Times was sure he could even defeat Shifeng. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. EU. Just as Furious Heart was about to continue, however, a Tier 3 assassin frantically approached him. Elder Heart, we just received information regarding Zero Wing, the assassin hesitantly reported. It seems the 3 adventurer teams finally found them. Zero Wing certainly knows how to hide, Furious Heart said, smiling. Well? What's the situation? Have Zero Wing's members been dealt with? No. Wind Tooth, Eternal Night, and Crimson Sands teams have been annihilated, the assassin said, shaking his head. Grimly, he continued, a dozen or so medium adventurer teams and several dozen small adventurer teams have also been eliminated. Tens of thousands of players have died in the burning forest. As for the several hundred scouts we've dispatched, none have returned alive, but according to their offline reports, Zero Wing's members are nearly at Demon City's gates. They'll likely reach the city's entrance in about 10 minutes. Chapter 25-28, Commotion in Demon City. When the Tier 3 assassin ended his report, everyone present fell silent, staring at the assassin in astonishment. What did you say? Annihilated? Although the strength of those 3 adventurer teams is subpar, they should have a total of 10 demon viscounts and nearly 100 demon barons. The number of Tier 3 experts they have should also exceed 200. With them in the way, even a superpower's trump card legion shouldn't dream of gaining any advantages in the burning forest. How could a measly team of 300-plus players possibly annihilate them? Tens of thousands of people got killed. Are those people idiots? The several Demon's Heart elders present instinctively refused to believe the assassin's words. Although they knew that Shifeng's team possessed extraordinary strength, Shifeng's team hadn't been in the burning forest for even a day. Despite that, they were being told that Shifeng's team had annihilated Demon City's top 3 adventurer teams along with several tens of thousands of other players. Moreover, none of the scouts that came across Shifeng's team managed to return alive. As icing on the cake, Shifeng's team was supposedly only a dozen minutes or so away from reaching Demon City. This was ludicrous. Previously, Battle Wolf's army hadn't even managed to reach Demon City's gate before getting annihilated. Now, however, a measly team of 300-plus players was actually about to reach Demon City. Who would believe this? He really came. Troubled Times was stunned when he heard the assassin's report. They were currently in demon territory. This wasn't a place human players could enter casually. Back then, when Troubled Times heard that Shifeng had declared that he would come to Demon City to hunt him down, Troubled Times had taken it for a joke. After all, Shifeng simply didn't understand how frightening demon territories were. In Troubled Times' opinion, let alone reaching Demon City, Shifeng would be fortunate to survive in the burning forest for a few hours. After all, no matter how powerful Shifeng was, he was still a player. There was a limit to his stamina and concentration. In the expansive burning forest, non-demon players were subjected to the corrosion of darkness energy, which increased their stamina and concentration consumption substantially. Even with a team of 300+ Tier 3 experts, it should still be impossible for Shifeng to reach Demon City. Now, however, not only was Shifeng's team close to reaching Demon City, but he had even killed Demon City's top 3 adventurer teams along with tens of thousands of other demon players. This was simply unbelievable. However, shortly after Troubled Times and the others received this piece of news, a commotion occurred at Demon City's main entrance. This was because a group of human players had appeared a short distance from Demon City. These human players numbered over 300, and they were none other than the team Demon's Heart had placed a bounty on. In this situation, the demon players residing in Demon City could not help but panic. What's going on? How did they get here? Why wasn't there any news about them? Didn't the top 3 adventure teams leave to hunt them just now? They must have gotten lucky and avoided detection. Otherwise, how could they get here so quickly and intact? Impossible. Even if the top 3 adventure teams did not find them, there are still several dozen others that joined in on the hunt. At least one adventure team should have come across them. And so long as even one did, the other adventure teams would have received news about it right away. It should be impossible for these invaders to evade detection completely. When Shifeng's team suddenly appeared outside Demon City, the players standing on the city's walls were filled with both surprise and curiosity. They never thought that human players could actually cross the burning forest and get to Demon City without an invitation. This was the first time a situation like this had occurred since Demon City's construction. Of course, there's no news about these invaders, as everyone that came across them had gotten killed. A friend of mine was one of the players that joined the hunt. Despite the adventure team he belonged to having over 1,000 members, none of them managed to make it out alive after coming across the invaders. According to what I heard, the top 3 adventure teams also got annihilated. They're just keeping their mouths shut all this time to prevent information leaks. As the ordinary players on top of the wall were discussing the situation, a Tier 3 expert rolled his eyes at their ignorance and revealed the truth to them. Upon hearing the Tier 3 players' revelation, the ordinary players were stunned. At the same time, though, they eyed the Tier 3 expert skeptically, suspecting that this expert was playing a joke on them. It seems the rumor I heard coming from Demon's Heart's members is true, after all. These invaders really did kill tens of thousands of experts. Another Tier 3 expert, who originated from a medium-scale adventurer team and had just arrived on the wall, commented upon seeing Shifeng's team in the distance. This Tier 3 expert's words threw everyone present into an uproar. What? The tens of thousands of experts that joined the hunt got annihilated? Who are these invaders? They're not really here to kill Troubled Times, right? It seems Demon's Heart has met its match. I wonder which side is stronger. Do you even have to ask? It's definitely Demon's Heart. Don't forget that this place is Demon City, the main headquarters of Demon's Heart. These 300+ invaders might be amazing out in the fields, but they're asking for death if they think they can do whatever they want inside Demon City. When everyone present heard the news of Demon City's top 3 adventurer teams getting annihilated, aside from feeling surprised, they also felt excited. After all, Demon City had never been besieged before. Meanwhile, news of Shifeng's team appearing outside Demon City's gates spread quickly throughout the city, stunning its millions of player residents. Crap! They actually came here to hunt down Troubled Times. This is amazing. I wonder how Demon's Heart plans to deal with this situation. I doubt Demon's Heart will let these people do anything. However, these people aren't pushovers, either. If even the top 3 adventurer teams are not a match for them, Demon's Heart should have a tough time too. Everyone inside Demon City discussed this matter, spreading Zero Wing's fame across the city. However, everyone was more curious about Demon's Heart's response to this situation. After all, even the city's top 3 adventurer teams had suffered annihilation. Shi Feng's team might not be capable of breaking into Demon City, but it was more than capable of camping out in the fields and targeting Demon's Heart's members that were trying to grind. That would stunt Demon's Heart development. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. EU. Meanwhile, news of Shi Feng's team's arrival also quickly reached Demon's Heart's residence. And when Troubled Times heard about this, his complexion turned deathly pale. He never thought that Shi Feng would get to Demon City so soon. He had witnessed the swordsman stopping a Demon King's hand before. If Shi Feng sneaked into Demon City and secretly took action against him, Troubled Times was almost certain to lose his life. Commander Troubled, you can rest easy. So what if Black Flame has arrived? This is Demon City. Furious Heart said when he saw the ugly look on Troubled Times' face. He then smiled and continued, however, Zero Wing has been acting arrogantly for long enough. They aren't even bothering to sneak around to take action. They are indeed very arrogant. They actually dare camp in front of our front gate and let everyone know of their arrival, a Tier 3 elder wearing black robes ranted. In my opinion, we should just deploy the city's Tier 4 demon guards and get rid of them. Otherwise, they'll really think that they can do anything they want to Demon City just because they eliminated the city's top 3 adventurer teams. Forget it. The demon guards are one of Demon City's trump cards. It costs a lot of demon crystals to dispatch them. It's not worth it just to deal with Zero Wing, Furious Heart said, shaking his head. Moreover, both the guild leader and the vice guild leader are not on the eastern continent right now. This isn't a decision we can make. Have someone notify Zero Wing's people that Demon's Heart is taking charge of this matter and that they've already caused enough of a ruckus. It's time to put an end to this fuss. If they retreat now, there will still be grounds for reconciliation and opportunities for partnership between our 2 guilds. Otherwise, this matter won't end so easily. The future god's domain no longer belongs to regular guilds. I believe they should understand this point very clearly. Alright. I'll have someone notify them. Hopefully, they know where to draw the line, that black-clad Tier 3 elder said. Inwardly, though, he felt that Furious Heart was too soft. If it were up to him, he would just annihilate Zero Wing for daring to approach Demon City so boldly. Chapter 25-29, Provoking Demon's Heart. Inside Demon's Heart's residence, after Furious Heart gave the command to take action, the black-clad, Tier 3 Viscount Elder promptly started arranging for the necessary manpower to shoo away Zero Wing's team. Meanwhile, the news of Shi Feng's arrival at Demon City also spread rapidly beyond the walls of the city and stupefied the superpowers paying attention to Demon City. What's going on? It hasn't been that long since Zero Wing's team arrived at the Burning Forest, yet it's already reached Demon City. Zero Wing actually accomplished something that Battle Wolves failed to do. Black Flame really is bold to provoke Demon's Heart. Doesn't he know that the current god's domain has changed already? The various superpowers found Zero Wing's arrival before Demon City's main entrance deeply surprising. The current god's domain was no longer the same as before. The activity of dark players in level 100 neutral maps was expanding. Moreover, the strength of dark players was growing rapidly, at a rate frightening even to the various superpowers. Meanwhile, one of the fastest developing dark powers was Demon's Heart. Not only did Demon's Heart boast a large number of experts, but its guild members were also improving at a flying pace. It was no exaggeration to say that, so long as a member of Demon's Heart reached Tier 3 as well as the rank of Demon Baron, they would instantly become an existence rivaling Tier 3 peak experts. In fact, their survivability out in the fields would be much stronger than human peak experts. Moreover, unlike regular players, dark players received rewards and improvements from killing other players. They had a much greater advantage when it came to leveling and upgrading their weapons and equipment. Even though dark players were a minority in God's domain, they were now strong enough to go up against regular guilds in level 100 neutral maps. This was why many independent players were opting to become a dark player, which, in turn, continuously increased the dark player population in God's domain. This change drove the incredibly fast growth of the various dark powers. Of course, the rapid development of dark players came with a price. Compared to regular players, the penalty dark players suffered for death was many times greater. Hence, in order to avoid death, current dark players were limiting their sphere of activities instead of rampantly clashing with regular players. Nevertheless, even the various superpowers did not dare provoke dark players casually, much less dark powers like Demon's Heart. None of the various superpowers had expected Zero Wing to provoke Demon's Heart. Moreover, Zero Wing had gone all the way to Demon City's main entrance to do so. Meanwhile, inside one of the advanced restaurants in the Ten Saints Empire's capital, Illusory Words was currently enjoying a meal. Midway through her meal, however, a Tier 3 assassin barged into her private room with a tense expression on his face. Vice Guild Leader, we just received news that Zero Wing annihilated not only Demon City's top 3 adventurer teams but also tens of thousands of Demon City's experts. Zero Wing's team has already arrived before Demon City's main entrance. By the looks of it, Zero Wing is really intent on taking action against troubled times, the Tier 3 assassin said, astonishment writ large on his face. They arrived already? Illusory Words similarly felt astonished by this point. She had visited Demon City as a guest before, so she knew just how difficult it was to cross the burning forest. A large number of demon patrol squads and demon players operated within the forest. In her opinion, even with frightening strength, Shifeng and his team should still struggle to reach Demon City. In fact, by the time they got to Demon City, the tracking mark they placed on troubled times might have disappeared already. In that case, visiting Demon City would also be meaningless. However, Shifeng's team had actually reached Demon City less than a day after they entered the burning forest. Moreover, they didn't arrive at the city by covert means but walked straight to the city instead. We also found out a little regarding the relationship between Troubled Times and Demon's Heart, the Tier 3 assassin said. Troubled Times' Sentinel Shelter is Demon's Heart's most important pawn in the Dark Den. Demon's Heart is even planning to turn the Sentinel Shelter into its main headquarters. In addition, Troubled Times fought alongside Flaming Light, one of Demon's Heart's Vice Guild leaders, during the early stages of God's domain. Although the two of them eventually chose different development paths, Troubled Times is now one of Flaming Light's trusted aides, due to his excellent strength and talents. He's actually Flaming Light's confidant. Illusory Words frowned at this situation. If this really is the case, then Zero Wing will have difficulty killing Troubled Times. Flaming Light is extremely protective of his own people, especially his confidants. Moreover, Troubled Times is taking shelter inside Demon City. Hopefully, Guild Leader Black Flame doesn't act too rashly. Flaming Light was famous on the Eastern continent. A part of the reason why the Ten Saints Empire's various superpowers currently feared Demon's Heart was Flaming Light's presence. In fact, Flaming Light had even wrung multiple concessions from the Super Guild's Sacred Temple regarding resources. Despite the Ten Saints Empire being the Sacred Temple's home base, the Sacred Temple still had no choice but to concede to Demon's Heart's demands. This situation had greatly confused the Ten Saints Empire's various superpowers, as well as made them increasingly fearful of the Dark Guild. Setting aside whether Zero Wing could kill Troubled Times inside Demon City, even if the Guild killed Troubled Times in the outside world, it was still highly likely to anger Flaming Light. If that happened, then the efforts Zero Wing had made to ensure its smooth development in level 100 neutral maps would go to waste, and the guild would be plagued with endless troubles once more. After all, the current god's domain had already changed. The advantages dark players had over regular players were simply overwhelming. While the Ten Saints Empire's various superpowers were secretly discussing Zero Wing, another commotion occurred at Demon City's main entrance. The reason for this commotion was Demon's Heart's members making an appearance. In the next moment, Demon City's gate opened slowly. A 1,000-man team led by Tier 3 experts then marched out of Demon City. Every one of these members from Demon's Heart sported uniform weapons and equipment. Moreover, these weapons and equipment were of considerably high quality, with even the weakest piece being level 100 fine gold rank. In addition, every member of this team was a noble. Just the number of players emitting power of darkness at the standard of demon viscounts numbered as many as 20. Standing in the head of this team was a burly man geared in exquisite armor. The spectating players present gasped in shock at the sight of this man. Crap! Rebellious Thunder, the vice commander of Demon's Heart's main force, showed up. What a powerful pressure! So, this is the strength of a demon count. When the players standing atop the city's walls saw the burly man, awe filled their eyes. The count rank was something all demon players aspired to. However, it was beyond the reach of most demon players. The reason for this wasn't just the astronomical amount of demon crystals required to challenge the test to become a demon count but also the test's great difficulty. Even now, aside from Demon City's two main guilds, no other power boasted a demon count among their ranks. The strongest person the other powers possessed was a 3-star viscount. Players that had become demon counts were treated with respect by even great demon NPCs because Tier 3 players at the demon count rank were already strong enough to go up against great demons. Their becoming a Tier 4 great demon in the future was also only a matter of time. They actually sent a demon count out. When Regretful Wind, who was currently sitting inside a bar near the main entrance, saw Rebellious Thunder through a magic mirror, envy flashed in his eyes. It seems Demon's Heart really places great importance on troubled times. However, we ended up eating a major loss this time. Not only did we not get any bounty rewards, but we also tossed away the lives of our own teams. Fortunately, we managed to keep the matter secret. Now, all of Demon City's adventurer teams have suffered tremendous losses as well, Helpless Smile said, a bitter smile forming on his face as he gazed at Rebellious Thunder's figure. During the time Regretful Wind and the others were quietly chatting, Rebellious Thunder could be seen arriving before Shifeng's team. "Are you Zero Wing's guild leader, Black Flame?" Rebellious Thunder asked as he looked at Shifeng. "That's right," Shifeng replied, nodding. "Do you have business with me?" Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. EU, we know you're here to kill troubled times, but this is Demon's Heart's territory. We won't care if you take action anywhere else, but since troubled times has already arrived in Demon City, we have a responsibility to ensure his safety. Moreover, this place does not welcome non-demon players. If you leave now, Demon's Heart will ignore your provocative behavior this time. There might even be chances for partnership between our two guilds in the future, Rebellious Thunder said sternly. "What if I refuse?" Shifeng asked, chuckling. "Then, you'll make an enemy out of Demon's Heart." Rebellious Thunder warned coldly, his words echoing throughout the main entrance. Upon hearing Rebellious Thunder's words, the spectating players standing on the city walls were silent because nobody would dare offend Demon's Heart on a demon territory. Any that did would not be able to leave with their lives. If that's the case, let's just become enemies. Chapter 25-30, Normal State. As soon as Shifeng finished speaking, silence fell over the area. A provocation. This was a blatant provocation. This guy must be insane. He actually intends to become enemies with Demon's Heart. He dares slap Demon's Heart's face as well. He's dead for sure now. Even if Demon's Heart wants to let him off the hook, Rebellious Thunder definitely won't let him get away with this. The spectating demon players were flabbergasted by Shifeng's unyielding behavior. They never thought that he would react that way. In their opinion, Shifeng and his teams reaching Demon City's front door was already a plenty amazing feat. In fact, their achievement had even dragged down Demon's Heart's prestige significantly. After accomplishing all this, Shifeng should have wisely retreated instead of pushing the envelope. After all, Demon's Heart was far stronger than Demon City's top 3 adventure teams. Even the Ten Saints Empire's various superpowers did not dare to offend the guild. Moreover, it had always been impossible for Shifeng to fulfill his goal of killing troubled times in Demon City. Although Demon City might seem like a player-constructed city, it was, in reality, a partial NPC city. The city was protected not only by players but also by quite a number of great demon NPCs, including a great demon monarch. The demon monarch was a bona fide demon marquis and was one of the 72 great demon marquises of God's domain, only one rank below the highest rank of duke. It was not an existence that current players could hope to go up against at all. With the demon monarch protecting Demon City, breaking into the city and killing troubled times would be absolutely impossible. Meanwhile, after Rebellious Thunder heard Shifeng's words, his complexion darkened immediately. Guild leader Black Flame, it seems you are intent on challenging Demon's Heart's bottom line. Rebellious Thunder snarled as he glared at Shifeng. Since you wish for battle, I'll fulfill your wish. Suddenly, dense darkness energy flowed out of Rebellious Thunder's body, and his body started undergoing a significant transformation. Not only did he double in size, but pitch-black demonic patterns also appeared all over his body. At the same time, the intensity of the aura he radiated skyrocketed, the aura so strong that the spectating demon players gasped in shock. Amazing! So, this is the strength of a demon count. The power of darkness he radiates is so strong. It's practically denser than the great demon NPCs inside the city. Just how powerful will his demon skills become with such a strong power of darkness? Black Flame is doomed now. The spectating demon players exclaimed in shock at Rebellious Thunder's transformation. Although they had long since known that Demon City's 2 guilds possessed demon count level experts, they had never seen a demon count in action before. They only knew that the count rank was a major turning point for demon players and that players couldn't reach the rank without frightening strength and resources. Looking at Rebellious Thunder now, however, rather than calling the count rank a major turning point, calling it a leap in tiers would be more apparent. At this moment, even with only ordinary identification skills, one would realize that Rebellious Thunder transcended the realm of ordinary. Just his current HP was as high as 6 million, previously, his HP was only a little more than 1 million. Aside from HP, Rebellious Thunder should have also received a similarly massive boost to his defense, basic attributes, and physique after demonification. After Rebellious Thunder activated demonification, Regretful Wind and the other spectators in the bar near Demon City's main entrance were shocked. Sure enough, a demon count really is frightening. It's no wonder those 2 guilds have been keeping all information about the rank a secret all this time. Helpless Smile looked enviously at Rebellious Thunder, who now rivaled a Tier 4 great demon in terms of strength. Now, not only has Rebellious Thunder transformed into a demon count, but he also wields Cruel Darkness, one of the demon race's 16 magic weapons. He also has Demon City's buff, which all demon players get. With all that, I'm afraid that aside from those 3 people, nobody in the entire Demon City is his match. Rebellious Thunder was originally a monster-level expert working for a super guild. However, after entering God's domain, Demon's Heart had poached him by offering a munificent package. With the help of Cruel Darkness, the magic weapon Demon's Heart had obtained, Rebellious Thunder became so strong that he was practically invincible among players of the same tier. In fact, during the war with Battle Wolves, Rebellious Thunder had single-handedly fought against 3 monster-level experts. Back then, he was still only a demon viscount. Now that Rebellious Thunder had been promoted to a demon count, Helpless Smile couldn't even begin to imagine how powerful he had become. Rebellious Thunder won't have an easy time dealing with Black Flame, though. After all, Black Flame's suppressed Poison Heart even after Poison Heart had transformed into a great demon, Regretful Wind said as he looked at the demonized Rebellious Thunder. I believe it's going to be a tough battle. Regretful Wind had personally experienced Shifeng's terror. Even if Rebellious Thunder was powerful, the Elementalist did not think that Rebellious Thunder could easily defeat Shifeng. Flame Feather nodded in agreement with Regretful Wind's words. Previously, Shifeng had behaved as if Demon's Heart's existence was nothing to him. However, the swordsman indeed possessed the strength and qualifications to do so. Meanwhile, as Regretful Wind and the others were discussing Rebellious Thunder, the person in question had taken the pitch-black greatsword hung on his back in hand and swung it at Shifeng. The instant Rebellious Thunder swung his greatsword, the power of darkness enveloping his body seemed to find a vent. It surged into the greatsword, doubling the power and attack range of the greatsword. Now, the attack was so powerful that it cut apart even space, leaving a pitch-black trail behind the greatsword. In response, Shifeng unsheathed Killing Ray and executed Light Shadow. Boom! The instant the two blades collided, dazzling sparks sprang forth. The frightening impact also caused the ground beneath the two players' feet to shatter, and the sound of the impact echoed throughout Demon City. In the next moment, Shifeng stumbled half a step back, his HP decreasing by merely a few thousand. To Shifeng, who possessed over 1 million HP, this amount of damage was negligible. Impossible. That guy only lost by a little even after receiving the Vice Commander's full-powered blow. Upon seeing this outcome, both the spectating demon players and Demon's Hearts members could not help being stupefied. This was especially true for Demon's Hearts members, whose eyes very nearly fell out of their sockets at this scene. As they watched Rebellious Thunder about to clash with Shifeng, they had considered a few methods that might allow the swordsman to neutralize Rebellious Thunder's attack. For example, Shifeng could use a life-saving skill or a special tool. However, they never thought that he would receive Rebellious Thunder's attack directly and even block it with such ease. At this moment, let alone everyone else, even Rebellious Thunder himself was stunned by this outcome. What happened? Even before he had risen to the Demon Count rank, with Cruel Darkness as power, he was already invincible among those of the same tier. Now, despite being a Demon Count and activating demonification, he was actually only slightly stronger than Shifeng. However, Rebellious Thunder quickly snapped out of his daze. It seems you're not all talk, after all. Rebellious Thunder praised. But, so what if you can block my attack? You'll still lose if you only remain on the defensive. As soon as Rebellious Thunder finished speaking, however, Shifeng suddenly returned Killing Ray to its sheath. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. EU, as expected of an expert who has reached the rank of Demon Count. Your strength has already surpassed that of ordinary mythic monsters, Shifeng said as he looked at Rebellious Thunder. It seems I really am not a match for you demon players when you have the home ground advantage and I am in my normal state. Normal state. Rebellious Thunder chuckled when he heard Shifeng's words. Do you think you can transform into a demon too? While inside demon territories, players couldn't use berserk skills. Of course, demon players were no exception to this rule. However, demon players could use demonification to elevate their strength. This was why the Ten Saints Empire's various superpowers could never do anything against Demon City. Only Battle Wolves was stubborn enough to attempt a crusade against Demon City. I can't, Shifeng said, chuckling as he looked at Rebellious Thunder. However, my doppelganger can. After saying so, Shifeng drew the pitch-black sword hanging from his waist. Chapter 2531, Black Dragon. The abyssal blade Shifeng wielded looked like a gemstone of darkness. Adorned with glowing, crimson patterns, the sword gave off a bewitching feeling. The instant Shifeng unsheathed the abyssal blade, a doppelganger appeared beside him. In terms of aura and appearance, the doppelganger was utterly identical to him. His trump card is a doppelganger. And here I thought he had something amazing saved up. He's not thinking that he can defeat Vice Commander Thunder just by relying on a doppelganger, which would have weaker basic attributes than himself, right? Upon seeing Shifeng's doppelganger, Demon's Heart's members burst into laughter. In God's domain, doppelganger skills were indeed excellent life-saving measures. They were also extremely rare skills that could drastically increase the combat power of players. However, doppelganger skills were generally useful only against monsters and ordinary experts. Against experts of Rebellious Thunder's caliber, using doppelgangers was utterly meaningless. Not to mention, Rebellious Thunder had Cruel Darkness to further amplify his strength. The magic weapon grew through absorbing the power of darkness its user radiated. In return, the weapon not only provided its user with a significant boost in strength but also extended its user's attack range drastically. When Rebellious Thunder wielded it, he could achieve an attack range of roughly 20 yards, which basically transformed him into a ranged player. With such an attack range combined with Rebellious Thunder's strength and techniques, it wouldn't matter if he went up against 1 or even 5 melee players. There wouldn't be much difference, as he wouldn't give his opponents an opportunity to get close to him. Meanwhile, if a melee player couldn't approach Rebellious Thunder, they naturally couldn't attack him either. This was the reason why Rebellious Thunder was able to fight 3 of Battle Wolf's domain realm experts simultaneously without being put at a disadvantage. Since Shifeng had summoned only 1 doppelganger, this increase in numbers wouldn't affect Rebellious Thunder's performance in battle at all. Although I don't know what you're trying to pull here, you should just use whatever cards you have, Rebellious Thunder advised. Even after seeing Shifeng summoning a doppelganger, he did not hurry to attack Shifeng. Instead, he simply casually observed the swordsman before him. I'll teach you how foolish it is for you to make an enemy out of Demon's Heart. After Rebellious Thunder said this, the power of darkness that his body radiated intensified once more. This time, it even produced a faint layer of dark fog around his body. At the same time, the magic weapon he wielded seemingly received an upgrade. Now, pale blue flames flickered around Cruel Darkness's blade. However, these flames did not increase the ambient temperature but decrease it. The temperature fell so low that the nearby plants even started freezing. He can still grow stronger. Amazing. This is truly amazing. It's no wonder even the top 3 adventure teams do not dare defy Demon's Heart. Just Rebellious Thunder alone is more than enough to make the top 3 adventure teams suffer. Upon seeing Rebellious Thunder's strength improving further, the demon players spectating from the city walls gained newfound recognition of Demon's Heart. Many experts even started entertaining thoughts of joining the guild. Originally, they had become dark players to avoid the restrictions of guilds. However, the strength Rebellious Thunder displayed was simply too amazing. Now, they felt that they wouldn't mind losing some of their freedom if it meant that they could become as strong as Rebellious Thunder. At this moment, let alone the demon players spectating from the city walls, even Regretful Wind and the others, who were watching inside one of the city's bars, were floored by Rebellious Thunder's sudden power-up. He still wasn't at his peak state before. As Regretful Wind goggled at Rebellious Thunder's fog-shrouded body, he had trouble keeping his mouth closed. Compared to ordinary demon players, Regretful Wind, who had already reached the Demon Viscount rank, had a much clearer idea just how frightening the power of darkness Rebellious Thunder radiated was. It was no exaggeration to say that, even if he raised the density of his own power of darkness by 3 or 4 times, he would still fall short of Rebellious Thunder's standard. Since the origin of demon player strength was the power of darkness, having denser power of darkness would improve not only one's concentration recovery but also the power of their skills and spells by a large margin. The power of darkness affected players similar to how mana did, but with much more prominent effects. To think that a demon count can grow that strong. Black Flame really is doomed this time. I'm afraid he won't last more than a few moves against Rebellious Thunder, Flame Feather muttered in shock. She was clearly a 3-star Viscount, only 1 step away from becoming a Count. However, it never occurred to her that there would be such a huge gap in strength between a 3-star Viscount and an actual Count. At this moment, let alone within Demon City's sphere of influence, even outside of demon territories, rebellious thunder could still operate without fear. Meanwhile, outside Demon City, when Blue Frost and the other Zero-Wing members from Shelter 1, who had followed Shifeng to Demon City, saw rebellious thunder's transformation, grim expressions appeared on their faces. Blue, how about advising the guild leader to stop? We've already gone this far. I believe the Dark Den's various powers will understand how strong Shelter 1 is. However, if we proceed with this fight, our losses will be massive, Evening Lotus said as she looked at Blue Frost. After seeing how easily their team reached Demon City, she had indeed gained newfound recognition of their guild. She never thought that Zero-Wing would be this strong. However, their current opponent was no longer an existence they could deal with. Even though they had over 300 Tier 3 experts on their side, she wasn't optimistic about their chances of defeating Rebellious Thunder. After all, they were standing in the home ground of demon players. Moreover, Rebellious Thunder had the protection of Demon City. Indeed. At this rate, rather than making a statement, we'll end up becoming a laughing stock in the Dark Den instead, Blue Frost said, nodding. He, too, felt that they had done enough. Blue Frost immediately headed for Shifeng to persuade him to end this battle of attrition. However, he had just taken 2 steps forward when Shifeng suddenly raised the abyssal blade horizontal of himself and started incanting. The deafening roar of a dragon entered everyone's ears and shook the entire demon city. This dragon roar made everyone present shudder involuntarily, and they reflexively turned to look at the origin of this roar. To everyone's surprise, this roar actually came from the doppelganger Shifeng summoned. At this moment, however, the doppelganger had started disintegrating into a cloud of black fog, which continuously expanded, growing by several hundred times in size in no time at all. A short moment later, a pair of gigantic, golden eyes appeared inside the black fog, the piercing gaze of the golden eyes sending shivers down everyone's spine. What's going on? The doppelganger can actually transform. The doppelganger's aura is so strong. The spectating players promptly started discussing among themselves when they saw the transformation Shifeng's doppelganger underwent, curiosity and confusion filling their minds. It seems you weren't spouting nonsense before, Rebellious Thunder said. As he gazed at the dense cloud of fog before him, fighting spirit welled up within him. However, no sooner had Rebellious Thunder finished speaking than a gigantic claw emerged from the cloud of fog. This claw was the size of a 2-story house and densely covered in pitch-black scales. When the claw landed, it instantly shattered the ground. At the same time, everyone in the vicinity also felt the ground beneath them quaking. Before everyone could snap out of their daze, a 30-meter-tall black dragon appeared before their eyes. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. EU, a dragon. Everyone's breath momentarily stifled as they gazed at the incarnation of death and destruction before them, unable to wrap their head around this situation. How is this possible? Why would a dragon appear here? That is fake. That must be fake. Chapter 2532, Black Dragons. Might everyone instinctively refuse to believe that a dragon had appeared before them. In God's domain, dragons were synonymous with destruction. They could easily destroy entire kingdoms and empires. Any location that had a dragon appear there would automatically be viewed as a forbidden land for players. Demon players were no exception to this rule. Only death awaited them if they came across a dragon. Hence, how could a player possibly summon a dragon? However, the powerful aura and pressure, which stemmed from a massive difference in life rating, the black dragon gave off was undoubtedly real. At this moment, aside from the demon players present, Blue Frost and the others standing behind Shifeng were likewise astonished by this situation. They never thought that their guild leader would possess such a trump card. No. Something's not right. That dragon seems to be only at Tier 3. It's not a Tier 5 adult dragon, a Tier 3 demon ranger, who had used an identification skill on the black dragon, suddenly shouted. Upon hearing this ranger's announcement, everyone immediately reacted to the situation. It really is a Tier 3 dragon. I knew it. I knew it was impossible for a player to summon an adult dragon. Even so, that black flame is still plenty amazing. I'm afraid even the vice commander will be helpless against a Tier 3 dragon. When Demon's Heart's members saw that the black dragon was merely a level 111, Tier 3 infant dragon, they breathed out a sigh of relief. As far as they knew, most dragons that appeared before players were Tier 5 adult dragons, and even the weakest among them were Tier 4 infant dragons. They were not existences that current players could hope to go up against. However, a Tier 3 infant dragon was a different story. The reason why dragons were considered the apex race in God's domain and possessed overwhelming strength was their incredibly high life rating and growth potential. They gained much more basic attributes than any other race from each level up. Every increase in their tier would also grant them a qualitative transformation. Hence, after reaching Tier 5 and becoming an adult, a dragon would possess the strength to devastate countries. A Tier 3 dragon, on the other hand, might still be invincible among those of the same tier, but it posed a much lesser threat than dragons at Tier 4 or above. It's no wonder why you dare provoke Demon's Heart, Rebellious Thunder said as he looked at the black dragon looming above him. Currently, he, too, was feeling intense pressure from the dragon. However, instead of despair rising, Rebellious Thunder's fighting spirit flared. He leaped toward the black dragon, shouting, however, don't even think that a Tier 3 dragon is enough to force Demon's Heart to step back. Dragons indeed possessed a strength that made them unrivaled among those of the same tier. However, a demon count, like himself, also possessed such strength. Moreover, he was currently wielding Cruel Darkness, one of the demon race's 16 magic weapons. If he combined that with his techniques, he was confident he could fight even a Tier 3 dragon. In the next moment, Rebellious Thunder raised Cruel Darkness and executed a slash at the black dragon, with power of darkness wrapped around the greatsword. Space split apart wherever the greatsword passed. Tier 3 skill, Blazing Slash. What a powerful move. You can definitely send a mythic monster flying with this move, Shifeng said in admiration as he looked at the pitch-black greatsword descending toward the black dragon. Unfortunately, you made a basic mistake. What you're going up against isn't an ordinary Tier 3 dragon, but a Tier 3 dragon that I am controlling. After Shifeng said so, his doppelganger took action, sending a claw swinging at the descending greatsword. Secret technique, Lightning Flash. The gigantic claw transformed into streaks of light that clashed with the pitch-black sword. Boom! Accompanied by the sound of an explosion, the pitch-black sword shattered, the frightening recoil sending Rebellious Thunder flying back like a cannonball. In the blink of an eye, Rebellious Thunder's body crashed into Demon City's curtain wall, his HP instantly decreasing by more than 300,000. How is that possible? How can a summoned creature use a combat technique? For a time, everyone stared at the black dragon's proud figure in shock and confusion. In fact, the shock they felt right now was even greater than what they felt previously, when they thought Shifeng had summoned a Tier 4 or Tier 5 dragon. In God's domain, although players could summon and control powerful creatures to fight for them, after all was said and done, they weren't controlling their own bodies. Hence, they could only conduct subpar battles with their summoned creatures. Executing combat techniques that required nimble and precise movements from the physical body using a summoned creature would be beyond them. Now, however, not only did Shifeng execute a combat technique through the black dragon he summoned, but the complexity of the combat technique he executed was also extremely high. For a moment, everyone felt as if the system was playing a joke on them. What no one knew was that Shifeng had already reached the realms of Truth's Ascension realm. The control he possessed over his physical body had long since surpassed the standard of ordinary people. Although it was extremely difficult to execute Lightning Flash through the black dragon, he could, although just barely. However, the power of the technique was far inferior to when he executed the technique with his own body. Even so, combined with the power of the Black Dragon, it wasn't an attack Rebellious Thunder could block. Meanwhile, after landing a successful blow, Shifeng did not give Rebellious Thunder any opportunity to recollect himself. The Black Dragon immediately opened its maw at Rebellious Thunder. Dragon Breath. In the next moment, a dazzling beam of light devoured Rebellious Thunder, who was embedded in Demon City's wall, and brightly illuminated the area before Demon City's main entrance. The frightening shockwave of the attack vaporized all Demon's Heart members standing in the vicinity of the beam and shook the entire Demon City slightly. In fact, cracks even appeared on the city's sturdy walls. Silence. Destruction. Death. For a time, shock and fear filled everyone present, particularly the Demon's Heart members who just barely survived the shockwave of the Dragon Breath. They could not help but goggle in stunned silence at the steaming canyon that had formed beside them. So, this is a dragon. Regretful Wind and the others who were spectating the fight from inside Demon City shuddered at this outcome. After all, the Black Dragon was simply too strong. With just one attack, the Black Dragon had instantly vaporized Rebellious Thunder, who was a demon count. The only thing left in Rebellious Thunder's place was a pitch-black blade. Earlier, despite suffering from the Black Dragon's combat technique, Rebellious Thunder still had over 5 million HP remaining. Even if Rebellious Thunder simply stood in place without defending himself, a Tier 4 mythic monster would still need quite some time to kill him. However, Shifeng's Black Dragon had used only one attack to turn Rebellious Thunder into nothing. Run! When the Demon's Heart members snapped out of their daze, their originally calm and arrogant composure instantly crumbled, and they fled frantically toward Demon City. What a joke! Aside from Rebellious Thunder, everyone else in the team was only a Demon Viscount or Demon Baron. Since the Black Dragon could kill Rebellious Thunder with one hit, it could naturally do the same to them. In fact, the Black Dragon might only need a single claw swipe to finish off the rest of them. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. EU. Upon seeing this scene, the spectating demon players were stupefied. Were these fleeing players really the same Demon's Heart experts they knew of? Normally, every one of Demon's Heart's members was an arrogant prick. They behaved as if they were entirely different creatures from other players. Even the members of Demon City's top 3 adventure teams were afraid of Demon's Heart's experts. Now, however, these same experts from Demon's Heart were actually fleeing from Shifeng like mice that had just come across a cat. This was definitely the first time such a situation had happened since Demon City's construction. Even when going up against battle wolves, Demon's Heart's experts had not retreated even an inch. Meanwhile, the shocking news of Rebellious Thunder's death and Demon's Heart's members' frantic retreat also quickly spread throughout Demon City. Chapter 2533, Siege. Demon City, Demon's Heart's residence, Rebellious Thunder died? How is that possible? Standing inside the Darkness training room, Furious Heart was stunned when he heard his subordinates report. What happened? Previously, in order to frighten off Shifeng's team, he had specifically approved the decision to send Rebellious Thunder to meet with Shifeng to warn the swordsmen to leave Demon City and offer the possibility of a future partnership between their two guilds. Now, however, he had received news that not only had Shifeng refused their kind offer, but Rebellious Thunder had also died. There must be some kind of miscommunication. Rebellious Thunder is a demon count. With his strength, let alone Zero Wings experts, he wouldn't have any problems going up against even the 5 great super guilds' old monsters. Moreover, he was standing before Demon City's entrance. He should have still had the buff from the city's magic array. How could he possibly have been killed? The black-clad elder, who was a Tier 3 demon viscount, exclaimed in astonishment. Rebellious Thunder was one of Demon's Heart's strongest experts. While inside Demon City, he could fight even Tier 4 NPCs. It was also due to Rebellious Thunder's presence that the guild leader and vice guild leader had left on a distant expedition without worrying about Demon City's affairs. Now, however, he was being told that Rebellious Thunder had died. How could he possibly believe this? News of this matter has already spread throughout the city. Moreover, the fight was recorded by many players. The Tier 3 assassin who had come to report on this matter said with a bitter smile as he faced Furious Heart and the other guild elders present. Previously, he had also denied the validity of this information when he received the report of his subordinate. However, after watching the battle videos going viral on the official forums, he had no choice but to believe it. He then shared one of the better videos recorded with the guild elders present. In the video, a 30-meter-tall black dragon could be seen sending the demonized Rebellious Thunder flying with a combat technique. Immediately afterward, the black dragon vaporized Rebellious Thunder and created a small canyon before Demon City using its dragon breath. When the video ended, silence fell over the entire training room. So, this thing was the cause of the previous shaking? Furious Heart's complexion turned grim as he gazed at the black dragon in the video. A dragon. Although the black dragon was only a Tier 3 infant dragon, it possessed astonishing strength. If the black dragon could kill even a monster like Rebellious Thunder in a single hit, aside from the guild leader and vice guild leader Flaming Light, nobody in Demon's Heart posed a threat to it. Elder Heart, what should we do? If Black Flame is capable of killing even Vice Commander Thunder, I'm afraid he can kill me easily once he enters the city, Troubled Times said worriedly after witnessing the Black Dragon's strength. Troubled Times never dreamed that Shifeng would have such a frightening trump card saved up. He had clearly fled to a demon territory already. Non-demon players couldn't use any berserk skills here. However, Shifeng actually had the ability to transform his doppelganger into a dragon. For a moment, Troubled Times had a feeling that the main god system was playing a joke on him. Commander Troubled, you don't have to worry too much. Black Flame's trump card might be powerful, but the duration in which his doppelganger can remain in dragon form should be very limited. The transformation will last for a few minutes, at most, Furious Heart said calmly. Moreover, he can only strut around outside Demon City. Without our invitation, he shouldn't even think of entering. All you need to do is rest inside our residence and wait until the tracking mark on you disappears. That's right. He is merely a human player. Even if he can summon a dragon, it is merely a Tier 3 dragon. It might be strong against players like us, but it is far from sufficient for dealing with the demon NPCs inside the city. Not to mention, Demon City still has a defensive magic array. Non-demon players without an invitation can't enter the city. You can relax and rest here, the black-clad demon Viscount Elder said, nodding in agreement with Furious Heart's words. Once the guild leader and vice guild leader return, Black Flame is doomed. Rebellious Thunder's death was indeed surprising. The fact that Shifeng could summon a dragon was even more shocking. However, this was only at the standard of players. Before the NPCs of God's domain, these things were nothing. Not to mention, they were currently standing inside Demon City. Demon City was far more powerful than the NPC cities found in the outside world. It had not only an army of demon NPCs defending it but also the protection of one of the demon race's 72 great demon marquises. Let alone Zero Wing, even if all of the 10 Saints Empire's superpowers joined hands, they still wouldn't be capable of taking down Demon City. All Shifeng's team could do was act arrogantly outside Demon City. Once Demon's Heart's main force returned, Shifeng's team would have nowhere to run. That's a dragon we're talking about. Can Demon City's defensive magic array really stop it? Troubled Times could not help asking worriedly. He wasn't doubting Furious Heart. It was just that Shifeng was far too frightening. After all, the swordsman had survived an attack from a demon king's hand. Troubled Times truly could not bring himself to relax in this situation. This is Demon City. A Tier 4 dragon might be a different story, but a Tier 3 dragon can, at most, roar at the city. "We don't need to pay Black Flame any mind," Furious Heart assured him confidently. The other Demon's Heart members present rolled their eyes at Troubled Times' anxious behavior. The reason why demon players like themselves could establish themselves in the Ten Saints Empire was precisely the helplessness of the Empire's various superpowers against Demon City. Those superpowers could only watch from the sidelines as the city developed rapidly. Anyone who said that Shifeng could break through the city's defenses all by himself would be joking. While Troubled Times and Demon's Heart's elders were discussing this matter, the players residing in Demon City had gone into an uproar. Amazing! The Black Dragon actually managed to instant-kill Rebellious Thunder under Demon City's protection. This is the first time Demon's Heart suffered such a loss since Demon City's construction. It's no wonder Demon's Heart offered such an astronomical bounty before. Zero Wing really isn't a force to be trifled with. Even the Ten Saints Empire's various superpowers are helpless against Demon's Heart. Just what kind of guild is Zero Wing? Due to Rebellious Thunder's death, the players inside Demon City grew interested in Zero Wing. Many adventurer teams had even started looking into Zero Wing in order to find out what kind of guild it was. As Demon City's resident players were making a fuss over this matter, Shifeng manipulated the Black Dragon and had it fly above Demon City and hover above Demon's Heart's residence. This situation created another stir among Demon City's resident players. What is he trying to do? He's not trying to break into the city, right? This is Demon City. How can players possibly enter it by force? He's probably trying to scare us. The players inside Demon's Heart's residence also quickly took notice of the 30-meter-tall Black Dragon. For a time, everyone there discussed the Black Dragon, wondering what Shifeng was trying to do. Elder Heart, the defensive magic array shouldn't have a problem stopping the dragon, right? Troubled Times could not help asking as he eyed the Black Dragon in the sky. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. EU, relax. If it's only capable of executing attacks like the one before, Black Flame shouldn't even think of getting into the city, even if he attacks for an hour continuously, Furious Heart replied. Turning to look at the Black Dragon in the sky, he continued in a disdainful tone, Vice Guild Leader Light has already received the news about Black Flame. He'll be returning with his team very soon. Black Flame can only act arrogantly for now. However, as soon as Furious Heart finished speaking, Shifeng's voice suddenly came from above the city. Troubled Times, don't think that Demon City can protect you. In the next moment, a frightening amount of mana started gathering before the Black Dragon, the area within a 300-yard radius of the Black Dragon getting depleted of mana. First Sword, Light Shadow. Chapter 25-34, Frightened Demons, what? He's really going to siege the city. This is Demon City we're talking about. Is he insane? When the resident players of Demon City heard Shifeng's words, they were stunned. They never thought that Shifeng actually intended to attack Demon City directly. This revelation was as if someone had just told them that there were players seeking to attack the capital city of an NPC kingdom. This had to be a joke. In the next moment, however, the Black Dragon ruthlessly smashed its claw into the magic barrier protecting the city. The instant the claw started descending, it transformed into a gigantic phantom claw that blotted out the sky. Boom! The sky thundered and the earth shook when the phantom claw collided with the translucent barrier. The intense shockwaves even shattered the surrounding space like glass. The power of this claw attack was many times greater than that of the dragon breath the Black Dragon used before. What power! Regretful Wind, who had just exited the bar he visited, was shocked as he looked at the trembling magic barrier above him. Demon City's defensive magic array doesn't react so violently even when a Tier 4 NPC goes all out. Just how strong is that Black Dragon's attack? There was nobody in Demon City that did not know how strong Demon City's defensive magic array was. When Demon City was first constructed, the Ten Saints Empire had once dispatched an NPC army to attack it. Back then, however, even when multiple Tier 4 NPCs bombarded the city's defensive magic array with everything they had, the magic array didn't vibrate at all. The NPC army broke through the city's defensive magic array only with the help of a Tier 5 divine official. The Black Dragon Shurfong summoned, on the other hand, was only Tier 3. At best, its strength should only be on par with Tier 4 NPCs. Now, however, the Black Dragon had actually made Demon City's magic barrier shake so violently with just a single attack. This situation was simply unbelievable. Insane. He must be insane. Flame Feather was confused when she saw the Black Dragon bombarding the city's magic barrier. By attacking the magic barrier, he's basically declaring his intent to siege the city. Even Battle Wolves didn't dare do such a thing. With this, Demon's Heart's members won't be the only ones taking action. Demon City's NPCs will take action as well. Does Black Flame not know this? It might be fine if Demon City were just a guild city. After all, guild cities fully belong to players. However, NPCs partially own Demon City. This was why demon players like herself were confident that there were no players capable of threatening Demon City's continued existence at this stage of the game. Back when Battle Wolves sent its army on a crusade against Demon City, it had only set out to kill the demon players operating around Demon City, which would, in turn, weaken Demon City's strength. It had never intended to attack Demon City directly. Now, however, Shurfong had actually attacked Demon City's magic barrier. He was simply tired of living. Meanwhile, inside Demon's Heart's residence, when troubled times saw the city's magic barrier still standing despite suffering multiple attacks from the Black Dragon, he breathed out a sigh of relief. Previously, he had very nearly thought that Shurfong would shatter the city's magic barrier. Fortunately, the Black Dragon's attacks were only making the barrier tremble. In other words, the Black Dragon's attacks were still within the barrier's range of tolerance. He really took action. Furious Heart was stunned by this situation. He never thought that Shurfong would actually attack Demon City directly. Ha ha ha. He's doomed now. By the time the Vice Guild leader returns, the city's great demon NPCs would have long since taken care of him, laughed the black-clad elder standing beside Furious Heart. Originally, their side had been helpless against Shurfong. The only thing they could do was hide inside Demon City's protection and await their Vice Guild leader's team's return. However, Shurfong had lost all reason and actually launched an attack on Demon City. With this, all they needed to do now was sit back and watch the city's great demon NPCs dispose of Shurfong. These great demon NPCs were much stronger than human NPCs. The demon monarch that ruled the city was even a frightening existence on par with the heroes of humans. Current players would be helpless against him. Guild leader. At this moment, let alone the resident players of Demon City, even Blue Frost and the others following after Shurfong were stunned by this situation. In their opinion, it would have been perfect if they could somehow sneak into Demon City and leave swiftly. They never thought that Shurfong would actually take direct action against Demon City. However, before Blue Frost and the others could react, over a dozen great demons flew out of Demon City. Not only were all these great demons at level 130 or above, but they also radiated a stifling aura. This was especially true for the dignified man flying in the lead of the group of great demons. The man wore exquisite, crimson armor and held an icy war axe in his hand. And surprisingly, he looked nothing like a demon and very much like a human. However, if one used an identification skill on this man, they would discover that he wasn't human at all but a bona fide demon. Moreover, he was a great demon with an extremely prestigious bloodline. Morpheus, Demon Monarch, Great Demon, 2-star Demon Marquis, level 135 HP 700 000/700 000. The great demons quickly surrounded the Black Dragon, leaving it with no room to escape. Dragon. This is the demon race's city. You don't belong here. Morpheus declared in a cold tone as he looked at the black dragon. Meanwhile, upon hearing Morpheus's words, the resident players of Demon City promptly went into an uproar. Quick, look! Our city lord is taking action. Black Flame is overestimating himself. Not only did he offend Demon's heart, but he also dared to touch Demon City. He's doomed now. Black Flame really is courageous. However, I wonder how long he'll be able to stand up against Morpheus. NPCs rarely took action against players. Hence, many players were curious to see the strength of NPCs, especially demon NPCs. Now that there was an opportunity to watch demon NPCs fight a monster-level expert like Shifeng, everyone naturally grew excited. In response to this situation, Demon's Heart's members started smiling. With over a dozen Tier 4 great demons taking action, even a Tier 4 hero should not dream of escaping unharmed, let alone a Tier 3 player like Shifeng. However, while Demon's Heart's members were feeling elated over Shifeng's foolish behavior, a sigh came from the Black Dragon. Sure enough, it is impossible to destroy this magic barrier using only the strength of a Tier 3 dragon. It seems I have no choice but to get serious. Although Shifeng had spoken in a calm tone, when his voice was relayed through the Black Dragon, it had been loudly amplified. As a result, everyone inside Demon City heard him very clearly. What does he mean? He still hasn't gotten serious until now. An act. He's definitely putting on an act. When Demon's Heart's members heard Shifeng's words, they instinctively thought that he was putting on an act and that he was actually at his wit's end already. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. EU, what? He still has a trump card he hasn't used? Regretful Wind, however, did not think that Shifeng was boasting. At the same time, though, he also felt that the swordsman couldn't possess a trump card stronger than the Black Dragon. However, before anyone could deduce anything from Shifeng's words, the Black Dragon suddenly disappeared, leaving Shifeng himself in its place. At this moment, though, Shifeng held a thick, ancient tome in his hands, and this tome woke an instinctual fear in every demon player in the city. Damn it! Why is it in your hands? Morpheus's complexion changed dramatically when he saw the ancient tome that Shifeng held. Before the demon players present could react to the situation, Morpheus turned around and fled back into Demon City. Moreover, he wasn't alone. The dozen or so other great demons also revealed fearful expressions as they zoomed back to the city. Chapter 25-35, Silent Demon City. They're running. What's up with these demon NPCs? Seeing Morpheus and the other demon NPCs suddenly turning around and fleeing left Demon City's resident players confused. The NPCs had surrounded Shifeng's Black Dragon and were even prepared to take action against it. In the end, however, they had fled as soon as Shifeng himself appeared before them. What was going on here? At this moment, let alone Demon City's resident players, even Demon's Heart's members, who held actual authority over Demon City, were stunned by this situation. What did he do? Why are the demon NPCs afraid of him? Furious Heart was astounded as he stared at Shifeng, who was currently chanting an incantation in the sky. The intellect of Tier 4 demon NPCs was not the slightest bit inferior to players. It was almost impossible for players to gain any advantage over them. Before these demon NPCs, current players were nothing but a joke. These demon NPCs could squash current players like ants. Not to mention, these demon NPCs had remained calm even when fighting a Tier 5 divine official. Moreover, in the end, they had repelled the Ten Saints Empire's NPC army, allowing Demon City to establish a foothold in the Empire. Now, however, these demon NPCs actually fled like startled mice. However, before Furious Heart could figure out what was going on, Shifeng finished chanting the final verse of his incantation. His gaze then locked on to a nearby level 134, Tier 4 demon Viscount, who served as the captain of Morpheus's personal security team. In the name of the ruler of demons, submit to my will. Pitch-black chains suddenly appeared around the level 134 guard captain, giving off an indescribable pressure that made all the demon NPCs and demon players shudder involuntarily. No! Don't take away my will, the guard captain shouted as it struggled intensely to repulse the assault of the pitch-black chains. Unfortunately, all its efforts were futile, as the pitch-black chains simply ignored the guard captain's resistance and merged with its body. In the next moment, the struggling guard captain turned sluggish, and its eyes became cloudy. It was as if the guard captain had just had its soul sucked away. What did he do? He actually managed to deal with a bona fide Tier 4 demon Viscount with just one move. Every demon player present gaped in shock at this scene. This was a Tier 4 NPC of Demon City. The combat power it possessed far exceeded that of Tier 4 great demons in the outside world. Not to mention, the demon NPC in question was even a great demon that held the rank of Viscount. Its strength practically rivaled that of Tier 4 heroes. Now, however, the demon in question had actually stopped moving. It worked. Shifeng breathed out a sigh of relief when he saw the guard captain stop moving. The Bible of Darkness held considerable deterrence over demons. In its current state, only Demon King-level demons could resist its power. Demons beneath Demon Kings would instinctively fear the Bible. However, using the Bible of Darkness to take control of demons was not easy. On the surface, the Bible of Darkness's demon ruler had a 12% chance of successfully controlling a demonic creature, so long as the target was not more than 30 levels and 2 tiers higher than the user. In reality, however, the stronger the targeted demon, the lower the chances of controlling it. With Shifeng's current self, if he tried to control Morpheus, who was a demon marquis, his chances of success would most likely be lower than 1%. This was why he had chosen the Viscount-ranked guard captain as his target. Even so, Shifeng never thought that he would successfully control the guard captain on the first try, hence, he had planned on multiple attempts. After all, Demon Ruler had a cooldown of only 5 minutes. If once was not enough, he could simply try a second or third time. As for the possibility of the demon NPCs of Demon City attacking him, he didn't have to worry about that at all. The Bible of Darkness held an absolute suppression over demonic creatures, although this suppression was not particularly effective against demon players. So long as he held the Bible of Darkness, all demonic creatures below Tier 6 would fear him. Tier 5 demon kings were no exception. Not only would these demonic creatures have their basic attributes drastically decreased, but even their intellect would be affected quite significantly. Moreover, if worst comes to worst, he still had the 7 Luminaries ring. He could escape to safety whenever he wanted to. Hence, he did not fear Demon City's NPCs at all. These factors were why he dared come to Demon City. After Shifeng took control of the guard captain, however, the other fleeing demon NPCs promptly halted their retreat and turned to glare at Shifeng and the controlled guard captain, vigilance and rage burning in their eyes. It seems these demons are aware that I can use Demon Ruler only once within a short period but are afraid of recklessly approaching me due to their hypersensitive nature. Shifeng smiled as he swept a glance at the vigilant demon NPCs. Unfortunately, you are already too late. After saying so, he controlled the black dragon and had it fly over to his side. He then had it launch another attack at Demon City's magic barrier. What? He's still trying to attack the magic barrier. I don't know why the demon NPCs are so afraid of him, but he is still 100 years too early if he thinks he can destroy Demon City's barrier. Demon's Heart's members were very surprised by Shifeng's ability to terrify the demon NPCs. However, that was it. Their emotions were limited to surprise. After all, while the demon NPCs were afraid to leave the city to deal with Shifeng, Shifeng still could not enter Demon City. However, as soon as Demon's Heart's members finished speaking, the demon guard captain that had turned sluggish suddenly started moving. And to everyone's surprise, the guard captain cast the Tier 4 Curse Dark Star at the same point that the black dragon had attacked. In the next moment, the black dragon's claw smashed into the magic barrier's outer surface. At the same time, a gigantic, pitch-black star also smashed into the magic barrier's inner surface. Boom! Upon receiving attacks from both inside and outside, the defensive magic array instantly shattered. Cracks bloomed all over the magic barrier that protected Demon City. Ping! 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 In just a few seconds, the cracks had extended throughout the magic barrier. When looking up from Demon City right now, the spectating demon players found themselves looking at a cracked sky. Silence. Absolute silence. At this moment, as if time had frozen for Demon City, every player residing in the city was gazing at the sky in stunned silence, both their eyes and mouths wide open. Just then, a series of system notifications entered the ears of all demon players operating within the Burning Forest region, the emotionless voice of the system echoing in their minds for a long time. 2536 Slaying Troubled Times Chapter 2536. Slaying Troubled Times Burning Forest Region System Announcement. Human players have broken through Demon City's defensive magic array. All demon players based in Demon City will have their city reputation reduced by 10 points and city contribution, by 3,000 points. Boost to Power of Darkness will also be reduced by 20%. Burning Forest Region System Announcement. Demon City's defensive magic array has been broken. Ruling Guild of the city will have its popularity reduced by 5,000 points. All benefits provided by Demon City will be halved for 7 natural days. All quests given out in Demon City will have their rewards reduced by 30%. The system announcement repeated throughout the Burning Forest 3 times, causing a deathly silence to befall the forest. Someone broke through Demon City's defensive magic array. Didn't they say that even the 10 Saints Empire's NPC army was helpless against Demon City? How could players possibly break through the city's defensive magic array? Who did it? Could it be those people Demon's Heart placed a bounty on before? The demon players grinding and questing inside the Burning Forest were flabbergasted by the system announcement. Some players even fell into a daze in battle and nearly got themselves killed by monsters. Since Demon City's construction until now, aside from battle wolves, no power or player had truly managed to put pressure on Demon City. Now, however, not only did someone put pressure on Demon City, but they had even destroyed the city's defensive magic array. This was simply unbelievable. The shock the demon players felt upon receiving this piece of information was akin to human players hearing about some other player breaking through the defenses of a kingdom's capital. It was simply unthinkable. Meanwhile, inside Demon City, the resident players remained in a daze long after the incident. Like robots that had jammed, their mouths kept opening and closing wordlessly as they stared up into the empty sky above them. Damn it! How did he do it? This is a main city-level defensive magic array. As Furious Heart stared at Shifeng hovering in the sky, unprecedented shock filled him. He never imagined that Shifeng would actually succeed in destroying Demon City's defensive magic array. Back when the 10 Saints Empire's army had attacked, it had taken a Tier 5 divine official to destroy the city's defensive magic array. The defensive magic array had stood strong even under the bombardment of over a dozen Tier 4 NPCs. Now, however, Shifeng, a Tier 3 player, had single-handedly destroyed the city's defensive magic array. Moreover, he had accomplished this feat with just one attack. This was definitely a bug. However, it was also almost impossible for the main god system to make an error. Even if there were an error in the system, it wouldn't be on such a monumental scale. What Furious Heart did not know was that, in God's domain, all magic arrays had weaknesses. The defensive magic array of major cities was no exception. They all had mana junctions that were much more fragile compared to the other parts of the magic array. Normally, though, ordinary players couldn't locate these weak points. Moreover, with how large a city-scale defensive magic array was, trying to find these weak points was akin to looking for a needle in a haystack. However, that was not the case for Shifeng. After he became an intermediate master magician, his understanding of magic arrays had reached completely new heights. Now, let alone Demon City's defensive magic array, even if faced with a main city-level defensive magic array of a kingdom that had been in existence for over a century, he was still confident he could find the magic array's weak points. Previously, Shifeng had planned to break through Demon City's defensive magic array by having the Black Dragon attack the magic array's weak points. However, the damage tolerance of the weak points exceeded the amount of damage the Black Dragon could inflict. As a result, the Black Dragon only managed to shave off a certain amount of the magic array's energy reserves with its attacks. However, after gaining control over the Tier 4 Demon Guard Captain, he was able to have the Guard Captain and Black Dragon attack the same location simultaneously, thereby combining their strength and executing an attack that exceeded the magic array's damage tolerance. Only then did he succeed in instantly shattering Demon City's defensive magic array. If not for the Guard Captain falling into his control, he really would have been helpless against Demon City. Meanwhile, as everyone remained stunned by this unexpected development, Shifeng, who had Gale Domain activated, flew to the space above Demon's Heart's residence. He then quietly observed the crowded residence below him. "Troubled times, it's your turn now," Shifeng said when he spotted Troubled Times, ignoring the tens of thousands of Demon's Heart members around. Shifeng's words were akin to a death knell. Upon hearing these words, Demon's Heart's members could not help but turn to look at Troubled Times, who stood at a corner of the residence's plaza, pity appearing in their eyes. Troubled Times should have been safe after escaping to Demon City. Now, however, that was no longer true. If Shifeng could destroy even Demon City's defensive magic array in a single attack, who could possibly stand up to him? Even if Shifeng had relied on the strength of the Demon Guard Captain to accomplish this feat, this could also be considered a portion of the swordsman's strength. After all, not everyone was capable of controlling a Tier 4 Great Demon, a demon NPC, at that. Black Flame, you'd better not go too far. This is Demon's Heart's residence. Furious Heart bellowed when he saw that Shifeng was completely ignoring Demon's Heart's members. "You've already destroyed Demon City's defensive magic array and caused Demon's Heart's prestige to plummet. If you kill Troubled Times, you'll make an out-and-out enemy of Demon's Heart. You'd better think this through clearly." Shifeng's strength was indeed terrifying. However, Demon's Heart was not in existence to provoke easily. It was the first dark guild in God's domain to establish a city for demons. In an era where dark powers were flourishing, even super guilds would not dare to offend Demon's Heart casually. Demon's Heart might not have the ability to deal with a monster like Shifeng, but Zero Wing was a different story. A guild was different from an individual. A guild was an organization made up of thousands, and possibly even millions, of players. So long as Demon's Heart slaughtered Zero Wing's other members, even if Shifeng remained unharmed, Zero Wing would still fall into ruin. This was also the reason why the Ten Saints Empire's various superpowers chose to take a step back when dealing with Demon's Heart. So what? Do you think Zero Wing is a guild you can casually provoke? Shifeng said as he glanced askance at Furious Heart. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. EU. The Black Dragon immediately descended from the skies and appeared above Troubled Times. It then swiped a claw at the Berserker. Light Shadow. No. When Troubled Times saw the mountain-like claw smashing down toward him, he instinctively activated demonification, followed by a life-saving skill to protect himself. Unfortunately, before a Tier 3 dragon, a Tier 3 demon player like Troubled Times was no different from an ant. When the Black Dragon's claw came into contact with Troubled Times, the Berserker got crushed into the ground and died just like that. Chapter 2536. Slaying Troubled Times. Burning Forest Region System Announcement. human players have broken through Demon City's defensive magic array. All demon players based in Demon City will have their city reputation reduced by 10 points and city contribution, by 3,000 points. Boost to Power of Darkness will also be reduced by 20%. Burning Forest Region System Announcement: Demon City's defensive magic array has been broken. Ruling Guild of the city will have its popularity reduced by 5,000 points. All benefits provided by Demon City will be halved for 7 natural days. All quests given out in Demon City will have their rewards reduced by 30%. The system announcement repeated throughout the Burning Forest 3 times, causing a deathly silence to befall the forest. Someone broke through Demon City's defensive magic array. Didn't they say that even the 10 Saints Empire's NPC army was helpless against Demon City? How could players possibly break through the city's defensive magic array? Who did it? Could it be those people Demon's Heart placed a bounty on before? The demon players grinding and questing inside the Burning Forest were flabbergasted by the system announcement. Some players even fell into a daze in battle and nearly got themselves killed by monsters. Since Demon City's construction until now, aside from battle wolves, no power or player had truly managed to put pressure on Demon City. Now, however, not only did someone put pressure on Demon City, but they had even destroyed the city's defensive magic array. This was simply unbelievable. The shock the demon players felt upon receiving this piece of information was akin to human players hearing about some other player breaking through the defenses of a kingdom's capital. It was simply unthinkable. Meanwhile, inside Demon City, the resident players remained in a daze long after the incident. Like robots that had jammed, their mouths kept opening and closing wordlessly as they stared up into the empty sky above them. Damn it! How did he do it? This is a main city-level defensive magic array. As Furious Heart stared at Shifeng hovering in the sky, unprecedented shock filled him. He never imagined that Shifeng would actually succeed in destroying Demon City's defensive magic array. Back when the 10 Saints Empire's army had attacked, it had taken a Tier 5 divine official to destroy the city's defensive magic array. The defensive magic array had stood strong even under the bombardment of over a dozen Tier 4 NPCs. Now, however, Shifeng, a Tier 3 player, had single-handedly destroyed the city's defensive magic array. Moreover, he had accomplished this feat with just one attack. This was definitely a bug. However, it was also almost impossible for the main god system to make an error. Even if there were an error in the system, it wouldn't be on such a monumental scale. What Furious Heart did not know was that, in God's domain, all magic arrays had weaknesses. The defensive magic array of major cities was no exception. They all had mana junctions that were much more fragile compared to the other parts of the magic array. Normally, though, ordinary players couldn't locate these weak points. Moreover, with how large a city-scale defensive magic array was, trying to find these weak points was akin to looking for a needle in a haystack. However, that was not the case for Shifeng. After he became an intermediate master magician, his understanding of magic arrays had reached completely new heights. Now, let alone Demon City's defensive magic array, even if faced with a main city-level defensive magic array of a kingdom that had been in existence for over a century, he was still confident he could find the magic array's weak points. Previously, Shifeng had planned to break through Demon City's defensive magic array by having the Black Dragon attack the magic array's weak points. However, the damage tolerance of the weak points exceeded the amount of damage the Black Dragon could inflict. As a result, the Black Dragon only managed to shave off a certain amount of the magic array's energy reserves with its attacks. However, after gaining control over the Tier 4 Demon Guard Captain, he was able to have the Guard Captain and Black Dragon attack the same location simultaneously, thereby combining their strength and executing an attack that exceeded the magic array's damage tolerance. Only then did he succeed in instantly shattering Demon City's defensive magic array. If not for the Guard Captain falling into his control, he really would have been helpless against Demon City. Meanwhile, as everyone remained stunned by this unexpected development, Shifeng, who had Gale domain activated, flew to the space above Demon's Heart's residence. He then quietly observed the crowded residence below him. "Troubled times, it's your turn now," Shifeng said when he spotted troubled times, ignoring the tens of thousands of Demon's Heart members around. Shifeng's words were akin to a death knell. Upon hearing these words, Demon's Heart's members could not help but turn to look at troubled times, who stood at a corner of the residence's plaza, pity appearing in their eyes. Troubled times should have been safe after escaping to Demon City. Now, however, that was no longer true. If Shifeng could destroy even Demon City's defensive magic array in a single attack, who could possibly stand up to him? Even if Shifeng had relied on the strength of the Demon Guard captain to accomplish this feat, this could also be considered a portion of the swordsman's strength. After all, not everyone was capable of controlling a Tier 4 Great Demon, a demon NPC, at that. Black Flame, you'd better not go too far. This is Demon's Heart's residence. Furious Heart bellowed when he saw that Shifeng was completely ignoring Demon's Heart's members. You've already destroyed Demon City's defensive magic array and caused Demon's Heart's prestige to plummet. If you kill Troubled Times, you'll make an out-and-out enemy of Demon's Heart. You'd better think this through clearly. Shifeng's strength was indeed terrifying. However, Demon's Heart was not in existence to provoke easily. It was the first dark guild in God's domain to establish a city for demons. In an era where dark powers were flourishing, even super guilds would not dare to offend Demon's Heart casually. Demon's Heart might not have the ability to deal with a monster like Shifeng, but Zero Wing was a different story. A guild was different from an individual. A guild was an organization made up of thousands, and possibly even millions, of players. So long as Demon's Heart slaughtered Zero Wing's other members, even if Shifeng remained unharmed, Zero Wing would still fall into ruin. This was also the reason why the Ten Saints Empire's various superpowers chose to take a step back when dealing with Demon's Heart. So what? Do you think Zero Wing is a guild you can casually provoke? Shifeng said as he glanced askance at Furious Heart. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. EU. The Black Dragon immediately descended from the skies and appeared above Troubled Times. It then swiped a claw at the Berserker. Light Shadow. No. When Troubled Times saw the mountain-like claw smashing down toward him, he instinctively activated demonification, followed by a life-saving skill to protect himself. Unfortunately, before a Tier 3 dragon, a Tier 3 demon player like Troubled Times was no different from an ant. When the Black Dragon's claw came into contact with Troubled Times, the Berserker got crushed into the ground and died just like that. Chapter 2537, Single-handedly suppressing Demon's Heart. When Troubled Times died, silence blanketed Demon City again as everyone stared at Shifeng hovering in the air. He killed him, just like that. The city's independent players had never thought Shifeng would dare attack a player in the middle of Demon's Heart's residence, yet he had done so without the slightest hesitation. He acted as if the Dark Guild's members were nothing of consequence. He's done it. Blue Frost and the other Zero Wing members from the Dark Den, who had watched the scene play out through a magic mirror, were especially dumbfounded. They had never imagined that Shifeng would successfully kill Troubled Times. Moreover, their guild leader had done so as Demon's Heart's members watched. Blue Frost and his comrades felt as if they were dreaming. They would have already been amazed if they managed to sneak into Demon City and assassinate Troubled Times, but Shifeng had boldly and openly slain his prey. While Zero Wing's Dark Den members were stunned, Furious Heart, who stood within Demon's Heart's residence, shot Shifeng a furious look, his rage burning clear in his eyes. Black Flame. You and your entire guild are dead. Not even our guild leader will let you get away with killing someone in our residence, let alone Vice Guild Leader Flaming Light. Furious Heart bellowed. He hadn't actually expected Shifeng to attack troubled times without a second thought. The attack had been so sudden that he hadn't even had the time to try to save the berserker. A guild residence was a guild's most treasured location. If word spread that Demon's Heart couldn't even protect a single player within its residence, the Dark Guild's reputation would suffer. Is that so? Shifeng asked, indifferently glancing down at Furious Heart. Feel free to test us. Zero Wing is ready for whatever you can throw our way. If you have nothing else to say, I'll be taking my leave. Every player in the residence went into an uproar after hearing Shifeng's blatant disregard for their guild. Crap. This bastard is too arrogant. Elder Heart, let's attack him together. I refuse to believe that we can't end his miserable life. The guild elders in the residence were incensed, and they tried to persuade Furious Heart to move against the swordsman as a unit. Troubled Time's death was humiliating for Demon's Heart, and if they allowed Shifeng to leave safely, nothing would remain of the guild's reputation. No. Let him go. Furious Heart growled through gritted teeth, gesturing for the guild elders to back away. When Shifeng realized that none of the Dark Guild's members intended to strike, he turned and flew away from the residence and Demon City. Are you just going to let him go, Heart? The black-clad Viscount Elder demanded as he watched Shifeng fly off. Do you really think that I don't want to take his life right this instant? Furious Heart hissed, glaring at the black-clad Elder. Rather, do you think that any one of you is strong enough to kill him? Rebellious Thunder was the strongest player in Demon City right now, but if Shifeng could even slay Rebellious Thunder, what could they, who hadn't even reached Demon Count rank, possibly achieve by fighting that swordsman? Don't we have the Demon Guards? I refuse to believe that he can survive a battle against over a dozen Tier 4 Demon Guards, the black-clad Elder argued. The Demon Guards in question weren't like the demon NPCs that had surrounded and subsequently fled from Shifeng. Demon's Heart didn't have any control over the city's NPCs, but its Demon Guards were a different story. If they paid the appropriate price, their Demon Guards would do everything in their power to take Shifeng down. The black-clad Elder had also estimated that Shifeng could only control one demon NPC with whatever means allowed him to do so. Controlling multiple Tier 4 demons should be impossible. If they sent over a dozen Tier 4 Demon Guards to surround Shifeng, he wouldn't stand a chance, even with the Demon Guard captain on his side. Ending the swordsman within Demon City was entirely possible. Do you assume that I haven't thought of that? Furious Heart shot back, rolling his eyes at the Elder. Grimly, he continued, I considered mobilizing the Demon Guards the moment Black Flame arrived above the residence, but when he did, the Demon Guard's basic attributes fell by 30%. They wouldn't even be able to deal with Black Flame in such a state, much less the Demon Guard captain under his control. Shifeng was already as powerful as a Tier 4 being, which he had proven in the fight against Rebellious Thunder when they had clashed as equals. With 30% less basic attributes, the Demon Guards had no chance against Shifeng. Shifeng was a domain realm expert. Sending a bunch of dumb monsters with inferior attributes to take him out would be nothing more than a joke. But it's so frustrating watching him go unscathed, the black-clad Elder hissed, gnashing his teeth as he watched Shifeng's figure move farther away. Demon's Heart had gone to great lengths to earn the prestige it had enjoyed in Demon City only minutes ago. Now that Shifeng had dealt such a severe blow, restoring their reputation would take ages if they simply allowed him to leave. So what if he leaves? I've already notified the guild leader and vice guild leader Light. Black Flame won't enjoy this victory for long. Furious Heart said, his eyes narrowing as he glared at Shifeng's departing figure. At the moment, Demon's Heart was indeed helpless before Shifeng, but once the guild leader and vice guild leader Flaming Light returned, it would be a different story. Those two individuals were the guild's true pillars of strength. Even the Ten Saints Empire's various superpowers feared those two players' strength and the foundation they'd created for the Dark Guild, going as far as to form alliances in secret with Demon's Heart. Since Shifeng had shredded Demon's Heart's reputation, the guild leader and vice-guild leader wouldn't rest until the matter was settled. While Shifeng flew away from Demon's Heart's residence, another commotion broke out among the city's residents. What? Demon's Heart actually let him get away? Weren't there quite a few Tier 4 demon guards stationed in Demon's Heart's residence? Why didn't the guild mobilize them? Is he even human? Shifeng's safe departure from the Dark Guild's residence stunned Demon City's players. None of them had expected the invasion to end like this. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. EU Demon's Heart was one of the top dark powers in God's domain, yet not only had Shifeng single-handedly broken into Demon City, Demon's Heart's main headquarters, but he had also slain troubled times within the guild's residence. To top it all off, Shifeng had flown away from the residence unharmed. No one would believe this story if they told it. And yet, they had all watched it happen. Even more astonishing, Demon's Heart had remained silent during the entire process. Not one of the guild's members had tried to attack Shifeng. They were all demon players, absolute dark players. Starting a fight with someone over the slightest offense was normal for them, especially for Demon's Heart's members. However, even the Dark Guild's members seemed afraid of a single human player. It was unbelievable. While Shifeng departed from Demon City, news of the encounter spread like wildfire throughout the Ten Saints Empire. Chapter 2538, Ten Saints Empire Shaken, Correct Decision. Ten Saints Empire, Heavenly Saint Capital City, Battle Wolves Residence. A man in crimson armor and covered in illusory flames sat quietly before a crimson greatsword with his eyes closed in the top-floor lounge of a guild hall that was nearly 100 meters tall. Although this man didn't make the slightest move, the sword and flames around it circled the man as if they had a life of their own. Divine runes began to appear in the air, one after another, attracting all of the ambient fire-type mana and suffusing it with the man. As more mana filled him, his aura grew more intense. After a few seconds, the man's aura was as intense as that of a Tier 4 being. He felt as he had transformed into a fire demon as brilliant flames filled the room. If Shifeng saw this, he'd certainly be surprised. The man bathing in the crimson flames was none other than Sirius, one of Battle Wolves' old monsters. Not only did Sirius command Tier 4 strength, but his control of fire-type mana was also greater than Shifeng's, who had mastered a mana technique. Sirius manipulated the mana like an extension of his own body, with utter and delicate control. Now, he could even control the flow of different streams of fire-type mana. When Sirius finally reopened his eyes, the crimson fire around him took on a white-blue hue, and the room's temperature instantly rose by several hundred degrees. Not even ordinary Tier 2 players could approach the man before they burned to death. I've finally finished absorbing this Fire Saint bloodline. It's about time I pay Demon City another visit, Sirius said, smiling as he examined the blue divine runes on his arms. During the battle in the Burning Forest, Demon's Heart's vice guild leader, Flaming Light, had defeated him. He had initially given up hope of defeating Flaming Light anytime soon, but the guild had been fortunate enough to find an extremely rare advanced bloodline, the Fire Saint bloodline. At first, he had assumed the Fire Saint bloodline would only increase his strength by a fraction, but now that he had fully unified with it, he understood how terrifying it was. He was even confident that he could now barge into Demon City and walk out with his life, let alone exact his vengeance against Flaming Light. As Sirius prepared to leave the lounge, however, a tall, middle-aged man with an imposing aura burst in. This man was Everlasting War, who had previously served as the Glorious Lions battle team's leader. Commander, we've just received an update regarding Demon City. The report states that not only has Black Flame broken into the city, but he's also slain Troubled Times, who had hidden within Demon's Heart's residence, Everlasting War announced. Troubled Times died inside Demon's Heart's residence. The news stunned Sirius, and for a moment, he wondered if he had misheard. He was already amazed that Shifeng had his team had made it to Demon City. Despite dispatching an army of over 100,000 experts, battle wolves hadn't even caught a glimpse of the city's gate. But now, he learned that Shifeng had broken into the city and killed troubled times within Demon's Heart's residence. It was astounding. Demon's Heart has lost most of its prestige in Demon City and now poses much less of a threat to the various superpowers. Should we still head to Demon City, Commander? Everlasting War asked Sirius, who wore a strange expression. News of Troubled Time's death had already spread throughout the Ten Saints Empire. Keeping the matter under wraps was impossible for Demon's Heart. Meanwhile, the situation had robbed Battle Wolves of the revenge it sought for the humiliation it had suffered. If the guild targeted Demon's Heart now, it would only earn the label of bully, tarnishing the guild's reputation further. We no longer need to visit Demon City. Instead, we should visit Zero Wing, Sirius said. To achieve such a feat, Black Flame is indeed impressive. Unfortunately, Demon's Heart isn't a trivial opponent, and Flaming Light is particularly troublesome. If that weren't the case, the Ten Saints Empire's various superpowers would never have willingly allied with the Dark Guild. Understood. I'll take care of the necessary preparations, Everlasting War said. After giving the matter some thought, he agreed with his commander's decisions. 2 or 3 days ago, Everlasting War would have thought Zero Wing had just won a major victory, but based on what information Battle Wolves had gathered, Demon's Heart had more power in level 100 neutral maps than Zero Wing could imagine. All Shifeng had done was yank on the tiger's whiskers by tarnishing Demon's Heart's reputation. The act was both ignorant and foolish. Meanwhile, all of the various superpowers that learned of Shifeng's accomplishments were similarly astonished. None of them had thought that Shifeng would shake Demon City to its very foundations. The swordsman's strength was simply inhuman. Surprisingly, however, the Ten Saints Empire had remained extraordinarily calm despite the news. None of the various superpowers, which deeply hated demon players, had shown any movement. Not one of them had tried to kick Demon City while it was down. Rather, the Empire's superpowers had sent a large number of experts to Zero Wing's territories. This turn of events was indescribably strange. Have these superpowers gone mad, Vice Guild Leader? They're not taking advantage of the situation to put pressure on Demon's Heart and are aiming for Zero Wing instead, the Tier 3 black-clad assassin beside Illusory Words said after examining the details the guild's information network had gathered. Did they miss the system announcement in the Burning Forest? The demon player's development speed in that area has substantially decreased. This is the perfect opportunity to strike. They haven't gone crazy, Illusory Words, who was busy sifting through the reports, replied, shaking her head. They've only made the correct decision. Correct decision. The statement confused the Tier 3 assassin. He didn't understand what Illusory Words meant by that. Since Shifeng had destroyed Demon City's defensive magic array, all of the city's demon players have suffered a 20% strength reduction. This was the best chance the various superpowers had to eliminate those demon players. Demon's Heart had stopped the Empire's various superpowers from acquiring as many resources from level 100 neutral maps. Those superpowers would only secure more if they suppressed the Dark Guild now. That's right, Illusory Words said, her lips twisting into a bitter smile. Very few of the various superpowers members are aware of how frightening Demon's Heart truly is. The Dark Guild has already allied with mythology, one of the 5 great superpowers. Both its overall strength and its foundations are far superior to Zero Wing's. Naturally, the various superpowers want to take advantage of Zero Wing, not Demon's Heart. Demon's Heart has actually partnered with mythology. Realization immediately dawned on the Tier 3 assassin. He was also surprised by how formidable Demon's Heart was. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. EU mythology was one of the 5 major titans in God's domain and far stronger than ordinary superpowers like Crimson Emperor. Ordinary super guilds couldn't even compare. If mythology were supporting Demon's Heart, the Dark Guild wouldn't have to worry about its development, even after the recent events. While the Ten Saints Empire's superpowers were busy attacking Zero Wing, a handsome man in white arrived at a mana-rich location outside of the Fire Dragon Empire. This man was Flaming Light, Demon's Heart's famous Vice Guild leader. Not long after his arrival, two level 107, Tier 3 peak experts intercepted him. "What business do you have here?" a Tier 3 shield warrior demanded, flashing Flaming Light a contemptuous look. "I have something I need to discuss with Vice Guild leader Cold Shadow. May I know if she has time to spare?" Flaming Light cordially asked. Chapter 2539, Abyssal Blades Fragment. Cold Spring Forest, Stone Forest City. With troubled times dead, Shifeng returned to Stone Forest Town with the Hell Legion. He didn't linger in the Ten Saints Empire for a moment longer. The moment Hell Rush and his comrades entered Stone Forest City, the sight that greeted them left them stunned. Stone Forest City was a guild city, and normally, only players visited guild cities in level 100+ neutral maps. NPCs rarely visited such guild cities, yet Stone Forest City was full of them. There was even a long line of NPC merchants waiting to enter the city at the main entrance. Calling the city an NPC city wouldn't be an exaggeration. Hell Rush was also stupefied when he saw the number and quality of players visiting Zero Wing's city. He spotted several dozen Tier 3 players with a casual glance around the main street. Although the various superpowers had over 100 Tier 3 players at this stage of the game, and some even had several hundred, Tier 3 players were still a rarity as a whole. No matter where they went, they attracted a lot of attention. However, Tier 3 players in Stone Forest City were just as common as ordinary, Tier 2 experts. "So, this is Zero Wing's guild city?" Thunder Beast muttered, looking around him in astonishment. The Hell Legion had a total of 300 Tier 3 experts, which was a staggering number no matter where they went, but it was nothing in Stone Forest City. From what he could see, there were easily more than 1,000 Tier 3 experts wandering the city's main street alone. Even Blue Frost and Zero Wing's Dark Den members were stunned. Shelters in the Dark Den didn't even have more than 100 Tier 3 experts at this stage. They were still highly sought after in the Dark Denver. And yet, even a random street on Stone Forest City had more Tier 3 players than any of Dark Den's shelters. "Blue, you bastard, you kept us in the dark this. If we knew our guild had such a magnificent city, we would 1v join Zero Wing long ago," a Tier 3 Cursemancer, who had just joined Shelter 1 Zero Wing, scolded the Vice Guild leader as he admired the crowd of Tier 3 players. The Cursemancer estimated that Stone Forest City easily had multiple times more Tier 3 players than all of the Dark Den. Ordinary players might not care how many Tier 3 players a town or city had, but it was a significant matter to someone who played a management role in Shelter 1. Every player's value was different, especially in towns and cities. A city could benefit from a Tier 3 expert far more than from a Tier 2 expert, particularly when it came to resources. Tier 3 experts simply had access to more and better quality resources than Tier 2 players because they could explore locations that were too dangerous for the weaker players. In a city full of Tier 3 experts, players unwittingly added resources to the town, even if they weren't a member of the ruling guild, which, in turn, attracted more experts. Another benefit came in the form of leveling. God's Domain's mainstream players had already reached level 100 and beyond, and after level 100, players needed far more EXP to reach each subsequent level. Players also needed to defeat much stronger monsters. Thus, they would need Tier 3 players' help if they wanted to level up quickly. This was also why the Dark Den's players preferred to develop in powerful shelters. With how many Tier 3 experts wandered Stone Forest City streets, these players' leveling speed would be incredible. The Dark Den's various shelters couldn't even imagine how fast these players reached their next level. If the Dark Den's players knew that Zero Wing ruled a guild city like this, every one of them would immediately try to join the guild. Blue Frost, however, did not have a good response for the Cursemancer's complaint. Although he had always known that Zero Wing was extraordinary, he had never dreamed that it was this powerful. However, Blue Frost and his companions didn't know that many superpowers had sent their experts to Stone Forest City precisely because of Shifeng's recent performance in Demon City. In fact, the Ten Saints Empire's superpowers had been some of the first. Not only had they sent a large number of scouts, but they had also sent quite a few guild upper echelons. Because of this, Stone Forest City's player population had reached an all-time high, and there was an unprecedented number of Tier 3 experts in the city. Meanwhile, 3 level 108 plus Tier 3 experts enjoyed Stone Forest City's specialty cuisine in a high-class restaurant's top-floor VIP room not far away from Zero Wing's residence, quietly observing Shifeng's group as they entered. 2 of the 3 were Yuan Tiexin and Purple Jade from the secret pavilion, while the third was a young woman in her mid-20s. If Shifeng had known about this gathering, he'd be surprised. Yuan Tiexin and Purple Jade were showing the woman deference. Even as she spoke to her companion, Purple Jade's eyes glowed with reverence and respect. Although she was the secret pavilion's #1 genius, she displayed no arrogance before the woman. So, he's Black Flame. He really is something. It's a pity he has offended Demon's Heart. With his presence and Stone Forest City's assistance, it wouldn't have been long before Zero Wing had joined the realm of God's domain's superpowers, otherwise, the young woman with long, icy blue hair said as she watched Shifeng disappear into Zero Wing's residence, smiling softly. Are you certain that you won't reconsider, Vice Guild Leader Dawn? Stone Forest City is now the #1 city in the Cold Spring Forest and several neighboring level 100 neutral maps. If you step forward, I'm sure Demon's Heart will hold back against the city, Yuan Tiexin respectfully pleaded with the young woman. The woman before him was Dawn Jade, and he had nothing but respect for her. Dawn Jade was most likely to succeed the Secret Pavilion's guild leader in the future, and her current position was only second to the guild leaders. Before his assault on Demon City, I could understand why the guild leader had such an optimistic opinion of Zero Wing, but Elder Yuan, you know times have changed. The dark powers have far more influence over God's domain than they used to, especially Demon's Heart, which stands at the peak of the many dark powers. But Black Flame mercilessly killed someone Flaming Light was protecting, and the various dark powers think this is a good opportunity to set an example for God's domain's various superpowers, Dawn Jade said. Sighing, she continued, Zero Wing has provoked far too many superpowers. Based on recent reports, aside from mythology, Flaming Light has begun to negotiate a partnership with Beast Emperor, who currently occupies the Ore Empire. Not even the guild leader can prevent Zero Wing's fall at this point. Black Flame only has himself and his stubborn nature to blame. I doubt even Netherworld Empire's Hell Legion can save his guild. Your people should prepare, as well. I'm sure it won't be long before Demon's Heart makes it move. But don't worry too much. I'll think of a way to retain our shares of Stone Forest City. Once Dawn Jade finished speaking, she made a cutting gesture with a hand, summoning a spatial gate. She then walked through the gate, vanishing from the restaurant. Silence dominated the room for a long time after the young woman's departure. Uncle Yuan, what should we do? If the Vice Guild leader won't help us, we won't have enough forces to defend Stone Forest City, even if we gather all of our players, Purple Jade asked. Few knew of the true terror of Demon's Heart. Once the Dark Guild took action, Cold Spring Forest would become a nest for dark players. Flaming Light possessed the means to open a portal to a dark world, allowing the other world's players to flood onto the main continent. This was the true reason that even super guilds were afraid of Demon's Heart. Only, Flaming Light wanted Demon's Heart to establish a stable foothold in God's domain, so he hadn't actually used this card. Once he did, he'd lose it, and he'd have to wage war against whichever superpower or superpowers his actions affected. Unfortunately, Flaming Light wouldn't hold back against Zero Wing now that Shifeng had damaged Demon's Heart's reputation so severely. With the guild's current strength, it would find threatening Zero Wing quite difficult. Thus, the chances of Flaming Light activating the portal in Cold Spring Forest were very high. The Dark World was far stronger than many other major otherworlds, and it easily had a player population that could rival 2 or 3 empires. Moreover, every player in the Dark World was a dark player. Once Flaming Light activated the portal in Cold Spring Forest, Stone Forest City would have to face a storm of dark players. Its chances of surviving were practically non-existent. In fact, the portal's activation would also have an unprecedented impact on the nearby kingdoms and empires. I don't know. Let's just take one step at a time, Yuan Tixin replied, and he couldn't help but glance in Shifeng's direction, rolling his eyes. Rather than quietly developing Zero Wing, Shifeng had gone through God's domain, making one enemy after another. Now, even the secret pavilion could save the guild. They could only watch as Zero Wing burn to the ground. During Yuan Tixin and Purple Jade's meeting in the nearby restaurant, Shifeng had made his way to the second underground floor in Zero Wing's guild hall. After entering the core room, he activated the room's defensive magic array and sealed off the entire floor. He then carefully pulled a pitch-black blade from his bag, placing it on the central platform. The blade was none other than Rebellious Thunder's Cruel Darkness. Initially, Shifeng hadn't paid the magic weapon Rebellious Thunder had dropped much mind. He had been utterly focused on killing the man at the time. However, while the Black Dragon had bombarded Demon City's defensive magic array, he had offhandedly collected Cruel Darkness from its previous wielder's ashes. When he had picked the magic weapon up, he had discovered that Cruel Darkness resonated with his Abyssal Blade, which he had found endlessly exciting. 2 weapons only resonated in God's domain when both were a part of the original weapon. In other words, they were weapon fragments. As a magic weapon, the Abyssal Blade was already ridiculously strong, powerful enough to rival fragmented legendary weapons in its current state. Hence, Shifeng had been flabbergasted to learn that the Abyssal Blade was only a fragmented weapon, not a complete one. If that were true, how strong would the complete weapon be? Would it become a fragmented legendary weapon? Or a legendary weapon? Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. With this astonishing discovery occupying his thoughts, Shifeng had slain troubled times before hurrying back to Stone Forest City. This should be safe enough. Hopefully, the fusion doesn't cause too much of a commotion. After examining Cruel Darkness, Shifeng unsheathed the Abyssal Blade, and as a result, he received a system notification. System, the Abyssal Blade has discovered a fragment of the same origin. Do you wish to fuse the fragment with the Abyssal Blade? Fuse them. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.